Chapter 78. Not to mention Sun Yijia and her mother, when Jingwan returned to the Luo family, as expected, the Luo family, Yuan family, and Zhou family had all arrived. The ones leading them were the three young ladies' old mothers. Presumably, these families had either made an appointment or coincidentally followed behind Ding Guagong Fu. As such, no one could find fault. When Zhongshe saw Jingwan, she began to cry. "You're not allowed to cry," Jingwan said helplessly. Zhongshe's tears that were about to fall were held back by her. She looked at Jingwan with reddened eyes, looking somewhat pitiful. If it was the first time she saw it, she probably couldn't help but soften, but Jingwan had long been immune to her appearance. "Mother, I'm very tired and sleepy right now. I'm going to sleep for a while. I haven't eaten Mother's cooking for so many years. Why don't Mother take advantage of this time to make some for me? Wait for me to get up to eat, okay?" Okay, Zhongshe quickly nodded. "Quickly go to sleep." And Jingwan smiled. After Zhongshe left, she finally showed her fatigue. "Mama, when I came back, which family did I see those people? They should be the family of the Prime Minister, Ruan Darren. I forgot to tell Miss that at that time, it was that evil creature that first collided with the carriage of Ruan Darren's daughter. Miss Ruan's carriage went down from the mountain. Although it was closer to the inside, it still fell off the cliff. After Miss Ruan was thrown out of the carriage, she happened to land on a clump of vines. Therefore, she wasn't seriously injured, but she seemed to be frightened and didn't wake up. Ruan Fengfei, who is as famous as Jia Jie? This is great. In the capital, other than those daughters of the imperial family, the two most valuable and also the most outstanding young ladies were injured together. I don't know what will happen. Fortunately, Jia Jie didn't care much about the disfigurement. However, with the assassination of Jin Qinhuang as a front, she thought that this matter wouldn't stir up any waves. Forget it. It's not my turn to care about this matter. Jingwan rubbed her temples. She went back to her room and asked the maid to help her change her clothes. Buddhism was a sacred place, so she had to be a little careful. Although it was not so comfortable to sleep in clothes, she fell asleep soon after she lay on the bed. Jingwan slept all the way until it was time to light the lantern. She slept very soundly and showed no signs of waking up, which scared the group of people again. They thought that there was some hidden injury that they could not see. Madame Zhang had also brought the house doctor, so there was no need to trouble Great Master Liaochen. Fortunately, the house doctor was certain that Jingwan had fallen asleep due to exhaustion. Once she had enough sleep, she would naturally wake up. After Jingwan woke up, her spirit came back. She only felt hungry. As soon as she woke up, Qing Lan, who was guarding beside her, naturally noticed it immediately. "Miss, you're finally awake. Well, prepare some food. I'm hungry," Jingwan ordered as she got up and washed. "Before you fell asleep, didn't you say that you wanted to eat the food made by Madam? Madam made a lot, but you didn't wake up. Then she made it again and again several times. She hoped that you could eat the most delicious food when you wake up. Now, it should be ready," Qing Lan explained. Jingwan suddenly felt a little guilty. She originally just wanted to send Madame Zhang away and find something for her to do, so that she would not be sad and distressed. She did not want her to be busy all the time. Hearing the movement in the room, people outside came in one after another. Soon, Madame Zhang came in with the food in person. "Wan, you're finally awake. You must be hungry. Hurry up and taste it. I don't know if the food I made now is to your taste." She probably also knew about Jingwan's situation, so she did not care about her injury. "Mother, you've worked hard. As long as it's made by you, I like it. It's not hard. If you like it, eat more." Madame Zhang sat at the side and watched her eat. From time to time, she would pick up food for her. In fact, Madame Zhang's cooking was average, but the meaning was different. In addition, Jingwan was really hungry, so she ate a lot. Madame Zhang also knew that the food she cooked was not very good, but whether it was in Qi and prefecture or now, her daughter always gave her face. She was naturally happy, unlike that bastard Jing Bo. When he was young, he would spit it out when he ate. Now, he would put down his chopsticks after eating 2 mouthfuls. However, she was still quite self-aware. She only cooked occasionally. She could not poison her daughter just because she gave her face. Mother's cooking has improved a lot. Half of it was the truth, and half of it was to coax Madame Zhang. Really? Madame Zhang was very surprised. Her son and her husband did not say a word about her cooking, let alone like it. Mother will cook for you in the future. Okay. The maidservants put away the things on the table and rinsed their mouths. Jingwan sat there and chatted with Madame Zhang. Although Madame Zhang had all kinds of shortcomings, she also had her good points. She was very patient with her children. Moreover, because she was simple-minded, you could talk to her as you wished. Of course, it was all trivial things that did not take much effort. She would always listen with a gentle smile and respond to you. After that, she might not remember a word of what she said, but the whole process was very relaxed. Mother, it's getting late. You should go back and rest first. She knew that Madame Zhang did not have much to do and did not have anything to worry about. Her schedule was very regular. Mother is not sleepy yet. It's not too late to go back and rest when I'm sleepy. I just woke up and won't go back to sleep for a while. I know that Mother wants to accompany me, but I have a lot of people here. If it's not enough, I can still read. Madame Zhang was still a little hesitant. Madam, go back and rest first. The old madam still has something to do and is waiting for Miss to go over. Mama Gong spoke up at the right time. Ah, Mama, why didn't you say so earlier? It's a sin to let the old madam wait for so long. Madame Zhang said helplessly. It's okay. The old madam has slept a lot during the day and is in good spirits now. She knows that you are here, so it's not too late to let the two of you talk. Then Wan, hurry over. Don't let the old madam wait for too long. I'll go back first. Okay. After the maidservant sent Madame Zhang out, Jingwan spoke again. Mama, grandmother really has something to talk to me about? Yes, Mississippi. The old madam has been waiting for you. Then go over now. I also have something to talk to grandmother about. Jingwan guessed that grandmother should already know about Jin Qinhuang's matter. It must be known that the assassination of a prince or Qinhuang was not an ordinary matter and would definitely be reported to the emperor. Then, 10 out of 10 people in the court would also know. It was normal for grandfather to let her mother bring a letter over. After all, Bai Long Temple was the place where Jin Qinhuang was assassinated. Grandfather was not the kind of person who would absolutely not tell grandmother about the court matters. His purpose was also very simple. If grandmother knew, then ask about the specific matters. If she didn't know, then just let her know. After all, even if Bai Long Temple was calm on the surface, she was afraid that the undercurrent was surging behind the scenes. It was just that the matter between her and Jin Qinhuang, she didn't know if he had found grandmother yet. When she saw the old Madame Luo, Jingwan saw that her expression was slightly heavy. Her guess was probably right. Grandmother. Wan is here. Come over quickly. You all can withdraw. She pulled Jingwan to her side and waved the servants to withdraw. Have you rested well? Where's grandmother? Grandmother is fine. Take a look at this. Old Madame Luo handed a letter that was pressed to the side to Jingwan. Jingwan did not hesitate and directly opened it. As expected, it was just, Jin Qinhuang's whereabouts are still unknown, whether he is alive or dead is unknown? Yes, at least before your mother and the others left the capital had not received the news. It shouldn't be. It was reasonable to say that Jin Qinhuang should have returned to Bai Long Temple before her. Even if he was worried that there were still assassins lurking in the dark here, he should have at least informed the emperor about it. Or, the emperor deliberately concealed his whereabouts and used this as a pretext to make a fuss, ruthlessly hammering or weakening the power of the person behind the scenes. This was not impossible. Although the rumors about Jin Qinhuang were mostly negative, it was well known that although he had no power, he was deeply favored by the emperor. How can Wan say that? Is there something wrong? It's like this. Jingwan concealed her intimacy with Jin Qinhuang and told the rest in full detail to old Madame Luo. From the beginning, she did not intend to hide this matter from old Madame Luo. If there was any movement on Jin Qinhuang's side, she could not hide it even if she wanted to. Even if Jin Qinhuang agreed to her idea and did not do anything, she did not want to hide it. After all, her knowledge in this world was limited. Perhaps there were some hidden rules that she did not know. Who knew if she would inadvertently violate some taboo, especially when the reason for her meeting with Jin Qinhuang was an assassination. If something happened in the future and she did not know the reason, then it would not be worth it. With old Madame Luo watching over things with her, it was different. She could always consider all aspects. Even if he could not, there was still grandfather. Old Madame Luo's face became heavy after hearing this. It was related to Wan's reputation. She had to be serious. But it was useless to think about it now. She had to wait for Jin Qinhuang's attitude. Wan did not do anything wrong, but grandmother is worried that if Jin Qinhuang wants to take you into the fu, grandmother does not need to worry about things that have no shadow. If it really comes to that step, then what should be done will be done. If a dignified Qinhuang wants a small girl in the boudoir, we still have the right to refuse. Perhaps Jin Qinhuang saw that I saved him, or perhaps I am not up to the standard of a beauty in his eyes, and just let it go. I hope so. It seemed that it could only be like this now. More importantly, it could not be related to the assassination. Wait until dawn tomorrow. Grandmother will go back and discuss with your grandfather to let your mother stay here. Chow Chow and Miss Zhou cannot be moved for the time being. Jia Jia will not return to the capital for a while. You should also stay at White Dragon Temple for a few more days. I will listen to grandmother. Other people outside could not hear what the grandmother and granddaughter were saying, but Gong Mama was clear. She thought, "Old madam, why don't you bring Miss back to the capital?" Others did not know, but she knew that the living king of hell was now holed up in White Dragon Temple. It was just that he had moved from his previous residence. His guards on the surface could not see him, so they naturally sent people to look for him outside. Other than that body full of injuries, no one knew how free and unfettered he was living. Wherever he was, it was like a tiger's den or a wolf's den for Mississippi. You left the delicious food that he longed for in his mouth. Did you feel that he did not live fast enough? According to Gong Mama's understanding of him, she was afraid that as long as Miss was in White Dragon Temple, he would not appear to the outside world and would always be in a missing state. During this period of time, the emperor would certainly have more white hair, and the unlucky ones would naturally be the courtiers. Gong Mama shed tears of sympathy for the emperor when she met such a deceitful son. Gong Mama shed tears of sympathy for the courtiers when she met such a reckless prince. Gong Mama shed tears of sympathy for the courtiers when she met such a willful monarch. Thinking of this, Granny Gong felt much better. Although what he did to the young lady was inappropriate, he didn't really hurt the young lady. His original intention was not to play around. Jingwan chatted with old Madame Luo for a while more before returning. There was no entertainment at night in this world. If one did not sleep, they could only read books. In a temple, scriptures were naturally the most common. Buddhist scriptures were difficult to understand, and it was good enough that she could understand most of them. Jingwan felt that she had no chance to understand the deeper meaning of Zen. She was bored at first, but after calming down, she was able to read. While Jingwan was reading, Li Hongyuan was also reading all kinds of information gathered. This living king of hell had taken over a magpie's nest and tyrannically kicked Master Liaochen out. That was not all. He even complained that everything in the meditation room had been used and completely replaced. Fortunately, Master Liaochen was magnanimous and did not bicker with him. He turned and leisurely went to another meditation room. Master Liaochen did not live in White Dragon Temple, but in a fairyland-like valley in the back of the mountain. Apart from the acolytes in charge of cleaning, no pilgrims or anyone else would set foot here. Master Liaochen himself was usually in the temple during the day. It was rare to see Li Hongyuan come to White Dragon Temple all year round. In everyone's eyes, Master Liaochen treated everyone equally. No one expected the two to have such a deep friendship. Coupled with Master Liaochen's respect, they would not find this place even if they turned the entire White Dragon Temple upside down. Li Hongyuan flipped through the letters one by one. In the capital, the reactions of his brothers, his father, and the reactions of the ministers were all complete. These things did not exceed his expectations and were all within his grasp. Therefore, he only glanced at them and then threw them to the side without any further questions. The last one was naturally related to Jingwan. Because of Jingwan's accidental fall from the cliff, more people had been sent to protect her. However, they were all in the dark and it would be difficult for them to protect her in close quarters. It seemed that he had to find a way to send 2 more people to protect her. Li Hongyuan flipped to the next page. Eunuch Mu sensed the change in his mood. He thought to himself, isn't he safely back at White Dragon Temple? Did something happen? Li Hongyuan flicked the letter with his finger. In the future, this prince will not only have to guard against men, but also women? Eunuch Mu resisted the urge to wipe his sweat. He did not need to think too much to know what his master was thinking. To guard against men, he naturally had to guard against those around Miss Luo. As for women, there were many women who wanted to climb into his master's bed. Of course, he had to guard against them. However, wasn't this something he had been doing for a long time? Eunuch Mu thought carefully. No, there was no woman who wanted to climb into his master's bed that deserved his master's protection. Speaking of which, if there were men who liked men, there should also be women who liked women. Could it be, Mu and it's easy to guard against men around Wan Wan, but how can we guard against women? Master, this servant is stupid. This servant really doesn't know such a difficult thing. Eunuch Mu only dared to think this way. Master, I'm afraid it won't work. Why? Miss Luo needs someone to serve her. Yes, he only thought of the women outside. What about the women around Wan Wan? They served her closely. When she bathed and changed clothes, they had already seen Wan Wan's naked body. He had not seen it twice. The more he thought about it, the more gloomy he became. He even had the impulse to immediately pull out all the people around Jingwan and chop them into pieces. This vinegar jar was simply overturned inexplicably. This prince will ask my father to grant me a marriage on the grounds of saving your life this time. What do you think? Good, good, good. There was no better idea than this. Master, you should drag Miss Luo back to your nest as soon as possible. No, you should marry her back to the prince's mansion. Then, everyone will be happy. It will be a celebration. Master, please think twice. Eunuch Mu said insincerely. Li Hongyuan raised his head and glanced at him indifferently. Eunuch Mu was so shocked that he almost broke out in a cold sweat. Wan Wan's status is not enough. Under normal circumstances, she doesn't even have the qualifications to be at Cefei. Even if this matter is used to ask for a marriage, at most, she will only be at Cefei. Even if Jin Qin Wang Fu only has her as the rightful master in the future, Wan Wan will probably not be happy. Ben Wang will also not be happy. Li Hongyuan said as if talking to himself. Exactly. So, master, you can only continue to hold it in. We can only continue to endure. Ben Wang knows that you are all looking forward to Ben Wang marrying Wan Wan as soon as possible. Ben Wang also wants to. Unfortunately, Ben Wang does not have the final say in this world. I can only speed up and make my father despair about Ben Wang's marriage and let Wan Wan become the only candidate. So, who would be the next unlucky person? Sun Yijia is also too idle. That's why she would stick to Wan Wan all day. Master, the other girl is already disfigured. It's the time when she's heartbroken. Can you not use underhanded methods? Muan, do you have any objections to Ben Wang's decision? No, Master's decision cannot be more brilliant. They only had one objective. Master's decision was never wrong. Call old monk Liao Chen over. Ben Wang has something to ask him. From the way he addressed Great Master Liao Chen, it was clear that Wang Ye had a lot of objections to him. Moreover, it's time to sleep. You slept all day and now that you're awake, you're tormenting others. It wasn't far to begin with, so Great Master Liao Chen arrived rather quickly. Amit Ba. Wang Ye summoned me. What orders do you have? Li Hongyuan put one hand on his bent knee and the other leg stretched out naturally. His sitting posture was casual and languid as he slightly raised his chin to look at Great Master Liao Chen. Great Master can see through everything. How can you not know why Ben Wang is looking for you? Wang Ye overpraises me. This poor monk is only a mortal. How can I see through everything? Li Hongyuan curled his lips in a mocking smile. Great Master didn't see that Ben Wang was about to face this bloody disaster? Would your Highness not have been injured if this poor monk had told you? This isn't a disaster for your Highness. Your Highness's face is filled with joy. Li Hongyuan had to admit that Great Master Liao Chen was right. The main reason was that he had vented his anger on Wan Wan when she fell off the cliff. Great Master should have met Wan Wan already. What do you think? Forgive this poor monk for speaking bluntly, but Miss Luo is pure and kind. It's a pity she's a match for your Highness. That's not something a great master should say. However, the great master only said that this prince is sinful and cruel by nature. His heart, liver, and lungs are all black. It is precisely because of this that this prince should have a woman like Wan Wan by his side. This prince is only willing to be bound by her and be restrained by her. Wan Wan is a woman who is soft on the outside but strong on the inside. It is easy for her to attract the attention of men and attract the jealousy of other women. Without this prince's protection, even if she uses 1,000 methods, it will be difficult for her to avoid their schemes. You should say that we're a match made in heaven. Li Hongyuan didn't hold back at all when it came to flattering himself. Great Master Liao Chen nodded in agreement. Great Master, you still haven't answered this prince's question. Her original fate has been broken. Her new fate isn't clear. Overall, it seems smooth, but there may be some twists and turns. It's good that it's broken. If this prince can break it, then her future will be smooth and without twists and turns. From what your Highness says, you should know Miss Luo's original fate. Great Master, even if you don't know everything, you should know. There's no need to say more. Li Hongyuan never thought that he would be able to hide his rebirth from Great Master Liao Chen. Amit Ba. Of course. Wan Wan has been plagued with misfortune recently. Great Master, please help her resolve it. This prince doesn't want anything else. Just give her the red sandalwood prayer beads in your hand. Your Highness is as blunt as ever. Great Master Liao Chen seemed helpless. This prince thought you'd be used to it by now. If you're not, then it's better to get used to it. After all, who knows how many similar incidents will happen in the future. Then, as your Highness wishes, I'll give the prayer beads to Miss Luo in 2 days. Li Hongyuan was a little surprised. He had only asked Master Liao Chen for the prayer beads casually. He didn't have much hope. His goal was to make it easier for him to bargain. If he couldn't get the best thing he had for Wan Wan, he would at least ask for something that was a little inferior. After all, it was rumored that the prayer beads were very important to Great Master Liao Chen. It was said that his master had given them to him when he first shaved. They had been in his possession for at least 100 years. Great Master Liao Chen was an old man over 100 years old. No one knew exactly how old he was, so naturally no one knew how long the prayer beads had been in his master's possession. Many people, including his imperial grandfather and father, had wanted the prayer beads but couldn't get their hands on them. Was he really that important? Great Master, you are going to give them to Wan Wan? Miss Luo has an affinity with them. Li Hongyuan felt that he wouldn't be able to understand Buddhist affinity even if he were given several lifetimes. Then why wait 2 days? The blessing of Buddhism. Li Hongyuan paused. There weren't many things that could make him show such an expression. It seems that Wan Wan has gained the great master's favor. Miss Luo has an affinity with Buddhism. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6652960. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Please wait patiently after reporting and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bikan.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website, bikan.com. Chapter 79. I think Your Highness is overthinking things. What I meant was that Miss Luo has the compassion of Buddha, not that she is fated with Buddhism. Your Highness wishes to bestow upon her an indescribably noble fate. If one day Miss Luo really becomes a monk, it will be because of Your Highness. Reverend Liaochen was unperturbed by Li Hongyuan's anger and threats. Li Hongyuan snorted. Reverend, you probably won't live to see that day. Even if one day this prince is defeated, this prince will drag her down with him. In life, she will be this prince's woman, and in death, she will be this prince's soul. No one will be able to take her away from this prince. I will kill anyone who dares to stop me. Amit Ba. Your Highness's murderous nature is too strong. If you don't control it, you will only hurt yourself and others. Li Hongyuan sneered. What? Reverend, are you trying to enlighten this prince? Why don't you perform a divination for this prince and Wan? Just say that she is this prince's destined person, and that we are a match made in heaven. After we are married, you can have her enlighten this prince. It will be much easier with half the effort. Your Highness, are you sure you want me to perform a divination like this? When it comes to defying the heavens and changing one's fate, one must abide by the principle of gains and losses. If you gain something here, you will lose it elsewhere. Li Hongyuan's gaze sharpened. Reverend, are you saying that this prince and Wan are not a match made in heaven? I once said that Your Highness's actions have opened a path for you. But because Your Highness is changing your fate, even the path may change at any time. If Your Highness chooses to take this path, it will take time and effort. But because of your efforts, you will most likely achieve your goal. Your Highness wants to take a shortcut and reach your goal in one step, but the outcome is still uncertain. Now that I am forcing it, it is already in the category of defying the heavens and changing your fate. If this matter goes smoothly, there will definitely be other matters that will not. Even the changes on the path will be delayed until after the goal is reached, and the future will become even more confusing. I think this is not what Your Highness wants. Others say that an old monk like you is so powerful, but this prince thinks that you are just so. Amit Ba. Those are just rumors spread by outsiders. You can't take them seriously. In the future, when Your Highness obtains your wish, this humble monk will perform a divination for Your Highness to add flowers to the brocade. Li Hongyuan didn't refuse. Master Liaochen was such a revered figure that a single comment from him would be able to suppress many rumors. It was much more effective than a bloody suppression. Moreover, when the time came, Li Hongyuan wouldn't add blood to a happy occasion. Li Hongyuan had achieved his goal and chased Master Liaochen away. He'd completely forgotten whose territory this was. Fortunately, no one had seen his tyrannical behavior, or he would have been drowned by a mouthful of spit from each of them. How dare they treat Master Liaochen like this? Li Hongyuan didn't sleep, so naturally, no one around him could sleep. He called an E. Have you investigated the matter clearly? This subordinate is incompetent. Please forgive me, Master. An E knelt on one knee with his head bowed. Ever since they'd followed their master, they'd rarely failed in any of their missions. But this time, they seemed to have stumbled. Had their master misjudged? No, it couldn't be. They'd never seen their master make a mistake. Then there's no need to investigate. Send someone to keep an eye on them. Yes. An E had already prepared himself for punishment, but didn't expect it to be so easily brushed aside. Have you found out who the people sent by this prince's brothers are? Replying to Master, including the people sent by His Majesty, we've investigated thoroughly. We've confirmed it over and over again. There are no omissions. What they should know, what they shouldn't know, what they should do, and what they shouldn't do. You don't need this prince to teach you, do you? This subordinate understands. Please rest assured, Master. After the matter was settled, Li Hongyuan had nothing to do in the latter half of the night. But at this time, he still didn't feel sleepy. Unknowingly, he walked out of the meditation room. Then, he couldn't help but look at the courtyard where the Luo family lived. Once, when she was thousands of miles away, he paid attention to her daily life from letters and paid attention to her growth. He was worried that she would become another person who was different from the one in his memory. When she arrived in the capital, he saw her with his own eyes and confirmed that she was still the original her. Although there was still a big gap from the appearance in his memory, the delicate and tender her was naturally more delightful than the one who'd suffered the hardships of wind and frost. When he couldn't see her, he could still try his best to restrain himself. It was nothing when it became a habit. But when she appeared in front of him, he couldn't help but want to reach out and touch her. When he touched her, his heart couldn't help but give birth to evil thoughts. The closer he got, the more he missed her. The closer he got, the more he wanted to get closer. He always couldn't stop wanting to get more from her. That obsession of his didn't fade because he was close to her. Instead, it became deeper and deeper. A person like him was very clear that this kind of obsession should be eliminated early. Unfortunately, he never thought of doing so. The reason why a weakness was called a weakness was because you didn't have the ability to protect it well. Unknowingly, he walked to the outside of the courtyard wall. Li Hongyuan hesitated for a moment, but still walked around the courtyard wall and entered through the circular arched door. It was quiet all around. This courtyard looked very big, but there were a lot of people. The masters could still occupy a side room, but the others could only squeeze together. Compared to when they were in the capital, when they visited the Luo family at night, the possibility of being discovered was much higher now. If Jin Qin Wang, who was rumored to still be missing, suddenly appeared at the place where the womenfolk were staying and was caught red-handed, the fun would certainly be big. The shadow gods behind him were trembling with fear, ready to run away at any time. There was no other way. Although it was quiet here, there were martial monks patrolling the night not far away. They were responsible for the safety of these guests. If they were alarmed, it wouldn't be a joke. Those martial monks were much more powerful than many of the guards in the noble courtyards of the capital. If they were to go against them, they would have to think twice. If it was only them, then it would be fine. The problem was that Bai Long Temple had many people who were specifically targeting Master. If they were exposed, "Master, you have injuries." Even if your bones and internal organs weren't injured, the average person would have to lie in bed for 10 days to half a month. Even if you looked fine, you should at least endure it. Night raids one after another, they all felt that Master was outrageous, not to mention the Lady Protector. To meet such a master, how could it be so miserable? Gong Mama carried a lamp and stood in front of Jingwan's door. She coldly stared at the person who was getting closer and closer. "Wang Ye came here in the middle of the night. Enough, this prince will just look at her. I won't do anything." Li Hongyuan impatiently waved his hand to interrupt her. If it weren't for the fact that she was wholeheartedly devoted to Wan Wan, he would have directly sent her to see her biological mother. After all, she was her first master, and she was also indebted to her for saving her life. However, when he thought of serving her in close quarters, he couldn't help but think of the previous problem. Thus, his gaze towards Gong Mama became sharper. Gong Mama was very suspicious of his words, but she saw that his expression was becoming more and more unfriendly. Moreover, there was something else in his eyes. Why did it seem like she was his greatest enemy? She was just blocking the door. It shouldn't be to this extent, right? Gong Mama took a step back. Li Hongyuan entered the room and directly walked to the bedside. Because this was a place reserved for female guests, the decorations in the room weren't very rigid. However, there were still many things that weren't there. Even the things that were brought out of the Luo residence weren't many. In the past 10 years, Jingwan still wasn't used to casually leaving the house as if she was moving. When she went out, she did her best to make it as simple as possible. Li Hongyuan took out a night luminescent pearl and placed it to the side. Then, he covered it with a lampshade. Immediately, the room became much dimmer. Li Hongyuan only sat by the bedside. He didn't even reach out to touch her. Because he didn't use any medicine, he wasn't sure if a gentle touch would wake her up. She had also slept for a long time during the day. He had originally prepared himself not to appear, but unexpectedly, she fell asleep again. It seemed that she had really exhausted a lot of her energy. Li Hongyuan's heart ached slightly. However, if he had to do it again, he wouldn't hesitate to do it again. After that, until dawn, Li Hongyuan sat quietly by Jingwan's bedside. It seemed that just by looking at her, he was no longer bored or irritated. "Your Highness, it's almost dawn. If he didn't leave now, he might be discovered at any time." Not long after Li Hongyuan left, Jingwan woke up. Jingwan's nose twitched. "Mama, did someone come?" Gong Mama's heart trembled slightly. "No, Mississippi. Is there a problem?" "It's nothing. I just felt that the smell in the room wasn't right. Perhaps it was originally like this and I didn't notice it before." Gong Mama also felt a little guilty. She forgot that Mrs. Nose was also very sensitive. Wang Yi had stayed here for so long. Because of his injuries, it was inevitable that there would be a smell of medicine. He just left not long ago. The smell hadn't spread yet. She clearly smelled it. How could she miss it for a moment? After Jingwan got up, she did what she was supposed to do, just like when she was in the Luo family. However, she did her morning exercises in the room and did not make too much noise. Instead, she practiced yoga. Yoga was not something she had to practice every day, nor was it part of her morning exercises. However, what she learned was the most authentic yoga. It was very difficult and had a great effect on the flexibility and balance of the body. After a whole set of exercises, Jingwan was covered in sweat. Although the surface of her body was uncomfortable after sweating, her whole body felt comfortable and she felt good. After finishing what she needed to do, she sent old Madame Luo away. Jingwan then went to see Yuan Chaoqiao and Zhou Yingshuang. Their mothers. One of them was her aunt. Naturally, they knew each other. The two families were close relatives. Even if her aunt blamed her, she didn't go too far. Chaoqiao was also open-minded. She thought that it was good enough that she survived. For her, the shock of falling off the cliff seemed to have a bigger impact on her. This was the first time she saw old Madame Zhou. She was supposed to be a very straightforward woman. But now, her face was haggard and there were dark circles around her eyes. She looked much older than her actual age. When Jingwan greeted her, she only raised her head to look at Jingwan. She didn't say anything. She didn't even let her in to see Zhou Yingshuang. "Madam, I don't know if Yingshuang. Miss Luo, we can't entertain you here. Please go back." Her voice was very cold and even mixed with suppressed resentment. She was the one who invited them out. She was fine now, but Zhou Yingshuang was blind. Even if it wasn't Jingwan's fault, comparing the two, she still felt bad. Jingwan naturally wouldn't argue with her. "Madam, I just want to know if Yingshuang is awake." Old Madame Zhou saw that Jingwan was really worried about her daughter. She knew that she shouldn't be so against her, but she just couldn't control herself. "You still... Mother, is Jingwan here?" Zhou Yingshuang's voice came from inside the room. At this time, Jingwan didn't care so much. She quickly went around old Madame Zhou and went into the room. Zhou Yingshuang was lying on the bed. Her body was slightly curled up. She was obviously very uneasy. She looked in the direction of the door, but she couldn't focus. Jingwan covered her mouth as tears rolled down her cheeks. Zhou Yingshuang was not Sun Yijia. Although her family was far from Sun Yijia's, she grew up in the palm of the hand. She didn't have the emotional experience of Sun Yijia. She was cheerful, but her psychological endurance was not strong. After she found out that she was blind, it was good that she didn't break down. "Jingwan, is that you?" Zhou Yingshuang reached out her hand and asked uncertainly. She didn't know about Jingwan's situation. She just woke up not long ago. She asked the people around her, but no one told her. She even thought that Jingwan was already. Jingwan quickly wiped away her tears and calmed down. She hurried forward and grabbed her hand. "Yingshuang, it's me. Are you okay?" I'm fine. I'm fine. That's good. Zhou Yingshuang smiled. I'm fine too. Don't worry. Jingwan could tell that she was pretending to be strong. Her heart ached even more. She couldn't help but lean over and hug her. Yingshuang, if you're really sad, just cry. Don't hold it in. It's not good for your health. Your blindness is only temporary. Trust me, when the blood disappears, you'll be able to see again. Really? Can I see again? Zhou Yingshuang's voice was a little choked. Yes, trust me. You definitely can. You can see again? You can see again. I believe you, I believe you. She hugged Jingwan tightly and started to cry. Jingwan, I'm scared. I can't see anything. I'm so scared. I'm really scared. Don't be scared, don't be scared. It's okay. Your family, your friends, we'll all be by your side. We'll always be by your side. Don't be scared. Jingwan patiently comforted her for a long time. Zhou Yingshuang finally calmed down. Then, she started to ask about Yuan Qiaoqiao and Sun Yijia. Jingwan didn't hide anything from her and told her everything. To a certain extent, disfigurement was much more serious than blindness. How did this happen? Zhou Yingshuang's family wasn't prominent, but her grandmother and old Madame Sun had an extraordinary friendship. Zhou Yingshuang often went to Ding General Manor. Although she wasn't very close to Sun Yijia, she was still more familiar with her than most people. On the way to White Dragon Temple, Zhou Yingshuang knew that Zhou Yingshuang was actually easier to get along with than she looked. Through Jingwan, she was much closer than before. Don't worry. Jingwan lowered her voice. She thinks it's better this way. Zhou Yingshuang was stunned. She didn't understand why Sun Yijia would think this way. Jingwan explained to her in a low voice, and then she showed a look of understanding. Jingwan dared to tell her directly because she knew that Zhou Yingshuang wasn't a talkative person. She knew what was important and wouldn't say anything even to her family. Zhou Yingshuang was silent for a moment. So she's also a pitiful person. Then, she seemed to think of something. What about you? Where are you hurt? Don't lie to me. The deepest wound on Jingwan's body was probably on her neck. She couldn't feel any pain anywhere else. If Jingwan said that she was fine, Zhou Yingshuang probably wouldn't believe her. She put Zhou Yingshuang's hand on her neck against her will. Feeling her careful touch, Jingwan couldn't help but feel guilty again. She couldn't help but curse someone in her heart. Is the wound deep? Everyone knew that the neck was fragile. If one wasn't careful, it could be fatal. It's not deep, really. Otherwise, my grandmother and the others wouldn't let me out. Zhou Yingshuang thought about it and agreed. Seeing the atmosphere between the two, Zhou Yingshuang's heart relaxed a little. However, she couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Her daughter said that she was fine and smiled all the time. Didn't she know that her smile was heartbreaking? However, an outsider who she hadn't known for a long time said a few words and coaxed her, and she immediately revealed her true feelings. What an ingrate! Zhou Yingshuang motioned for the servant girl to bring the medicine and prepare some food for her. Although she said that she was fine before, she complained that the medicine was bitter and said that she had no appetite. Zhou Yingshuang hoped that she would drink the medicine now and eat something. Otherwise, how could she get better? The servant girl brought the medicine over and looked at Jingwan with anticipation. Jingwan thought for a moment and knew what was going on. She took the medicine and let the servant girl help her up slowly. Yingshuang, come, drink the medicine. It's bitter. Zhou Yingshuang subconsciously refused. Jingwan stirred the medicine in the bowl gently with a spoon. Good medicine is bitter. How can you get better quickly if you don't drink the medicine? Don't you want to see it sooner? Good sister, quickly open your mouth. Do you want me, your younger sister, to laugh at you? Zhou Yingshuang's face reddened suspiciously. She reached out her hand. Give it to me. I'll drink it myself. Who needs you to feed me? You're a delicate girl who stretches out her arms and opens her mouth. Don't feed me. Jingwan laughed and put the bowl in her hand. Zhou Yingshuang drank it all in a few mouthfuls and then frowned. It seemed that she really hated bitter medicine. Jingwan picked up a candied fruit and stuffed it into her mouth. Zhou Yingshuang hurriedly held it. "Miss, Duchess Ding asks you to go over." Nurse Gong entered the room and said softly, "Jingwan, go quickly. Maybe something happened to Yi Jia." Zhou Yingshuang pushed her. "Okay, I'll go take a look first. I'll come back to see you later." "Okay." When she was about to leave, Jingwan suddenly stopped. "There are some things that I don't want to say to my loved ones. There are some grievances that I don't want to release. It's because I care too much and don't want them to worry and be sad." Zhou Yingshuang was stunned and then understood what she meant. She was really a meticulous and considerate girl. "I know. That girl." Zhou Yingshuang couldn't help tearing up. Jingwan nodded. Jingwan will take her leave first. Duchess Ding's mother, whom she relied heavily on, personally came to invite Jingwan. It was obvious that her attitude towards Jingwan had changed a lot. Along the way, Jingwan didn't ask Duchess Ding what she wanted to do. "Greetings, madam. Get up quickly." Duchess Ding's attitude towards Jingwan was much more enthusiastic than yesterday. Although Jingwan felt that her attitude had changed a little too quickly and was a little strange, she didn't show it. Facing Duchess Ding's scrutinizing gaze, she stood quietly and calmly. She didn't think that there was anything shameful about her. Duchess Ding was quite impressed with her calm demeanor. She took Jingwan's hand and said, "Jingwan, I heard that your grandmother has returned to the capital. I thought that you probably wouldn't go back for the time being. I'm going to let Yi Jia recuperate in White Dragon Temple. Jingwan, although you are 2 years younger than her, you look like an elder sister. Please take care of her a little more." "Madam, you're too serious. Everyone can see how good Sister Yi Jia is. Let's not talk about who should take care of who. Since we call each other sisters, we should take care of each other." Duchess Ding nodded. "You're a good girl." Why did these words sound a little strange? Obviously, they were ready. It didn't take long for Duchess Ding to leave with her people. Except for a mother by Duchess Ding's side, the others left as they came. Jingwan looked in the direction in which they left, deep in thought. Duchess Ding's attitude was really puzzling. Even if it was because of son Yi Jia, there didn't seem to be a need to go to this extent. Son Yi Jia walked to her side, took her arm, and then smiled slyly at her. "What are you talking about? Ask me what you want to know." Jingwan felt that it was better for her not to know. "Sister Jia, you should be fine now. How about we go to the back of the mountain to pick some peach blossoms?" Son Yi Jia was a little surprised, but she didn't say much. Some things would naturally become clear when the time was right. If she said too much now, she was also worried that Sister Wan would be shy. "Okay. Anyway, our purpose of coming to White Dragon Temple is to enjoy the flowers. Although there was an accident, if we don't go and take a look, wouldn't the loss be greater?" Jingwan nodded. "It's a pity that Qiao Qiao and Yingshuang can't go with us. Then pick more and fill up their rooms. Although it may be worse than outside, there will be less regret." Therefore, Jingwan, who loved and cherished flowers, was also prepared to be a person who ruthlessly destroyed the flowers. The mountain was full of peach blossoms. Because of their accident, or because Jin Qinhuang was assassinated, White Dragon Temple had temporarily closed its doors to the public. The other families in the capital knew that White Dragon Temple was currently in troubled times, so naturally, they wouldn't let their family members come over. The people who were there before also left in a hurry these 2 days. Therefore, in this peach forest, there was basically only Jingwan, son Yi Jia, and the people they brought. Wherever the flowers were the best and most beautiful, they would pick them one by one. They really didn't show any mercy when destroying them. Why did Miss Sun pick so many flowers? https://www.beacon.com/11/11807/6652961. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is exempted. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 80. When Jingwan heard how Sun Yijia addressed the other party, she immediately realized who this person was. The first impression that Ruan Fengfei gave Jingwan was that she deserved to be a woman as famous as Sister Jia. She was like a clear water hibiscus, gentle and elegant. Ruan Fengfei was also holding a peach blossom in her hand. She walked over unhurriedly with a tranquil smile on her face. Under the tender and beautiful peach blossoms, she didn't lose her luster. Instead, it made her stand out from the crowd. The moment one noticed her, it was difficult to see any other beauty. It was really a case of comparing one's beauty to another's. If Sun Yijia wasn't wearing a white cloth on her face and dressed casually, she might be able to share the limelight with her. However, from now on, no one would compare the two of them. No matter how outstanding Sun Yijia was, the first thing people would think of when they thought of her was her disfigured face. One turned from a treasure to a pile of rubble, while the other was still a treasure. When they mentioned the two of them again, they would probably use the word used to. Normal people might sigh at Sun Yijia's experience, but they would mostly ridicule and gloat, because the two of them were the best among the noble ladies. It was said that the same sex repelled each other. In addition, the two of them had different standpoints behind them. They might not have the heart to compare, but they still couldn't help but care a little when they heard more about them. They rarely saw each other. Now that they met under such circumstances, should it be said that it was fate or heaven's will? Ruan Fengfei was very calm. There was nothing strange on her face at all. It seemed that she was still facing the intact Sun Yijia. This kind of person either had a really good mentality or was very good at pretending. Even Jingwan couldn't tell which kind she belonged to in a short time. When she was born, her brothers and sisters had already grown up. Naturally, they didn't compete with her. Her peers were all nephews and nephews. As an elder, she naturally had to give way to others. Above her, she was still pampered by her parents. Ruan Ruizhong saw it more clearly than Duke Dinghua. He didn't treat his daughter as a tool to exchange for benefits. She was the real Jiao Jiao who grew up safely and without worries. Then, could she be considered a person with a good mentality? However, Jingwan still felt that there was a trace of inconsistency. In this kind of environment where she was pampered, it was already good that she didn't become unruly and willful. In a situation where no one forced her, how could she still be so outstanding? After all, there were so many things to learn. To be considered outstanding, one naturally had to not only know how to do it, but also master it. It was impossible to do it without putting in some effort. How could a child have that kind of self-awareness? Would he have that kind of patience? How could he have that kind of willpower? Or could it be that she was really a genius who could learn many things at once and master them after learning them a little more? One had to know that Sun Yijia was such an outstanding noble lady. She had been raised under high-pressure policies. Or perhaps, there was another possibility. She actually had the same fate as him. Then, was it a transmigration or a rebirth? Jingwan carefully sized up Ruan Fengfei, trying to find something from her to prove her guess. However, in such a short period of time, there naturally wouldn't be any results. Sun Yijia and Ruan Fengfei greeted each other. Then, Ruan Fengfei's gaze fell on Jingwan. I wonder which family this young lady is from. I have never seen such a beautiful younger sister before. You must have just come to the capital? Her smile was faint, but it made people feel very comfortable. This is the granddaughter of Luo Shongshu. She is the third child. Her name is Jingwan. She just came to the capital with old Madame Luo a few days ago. Sun Yijia introduced. Jingwan timely squatted down. Hello, Miss Ruan. Ruan Fengfei hurriedly returned the greeting. Who doesn't know that our Miss Sun's taste is the most picky? To be able to catch Miss Sun's eye in such a short period of time, I presume that the third Miss Luo is extremely outstanding in all aspects. Her eyes were clear and flawless as she teased with a smile. It was difficult to feel disgusted. Miss Ruan is too kind. I met Sister Jia probably because of fate. Compared to you and Sister Jia's unparalleled talents, I am just ignorant and vulgar. Enough, little Sister Wan, it's boring to be too modest. Sun Yijia pulled Jingwan's hand. It is said that everyone has their own strengths. Little Sister Wan's expertise is not in this area. Ruan Fengfei looked at Sun Yijia's actions and her eyes flashed slightly. Why did she feel that Sun Yijia seemed to be deliberately putting on a show for her to see? It was as if she was announcing that this was her person and that she should not have any ideas. This childlike behavior could only mean that she cared. She couldn't help but look at Jingwan again. How should she put it? She felt that this was a very unique woman. She didn't have the kind of beautiful face that would attract people's attention at first sight. However, once you noticed it, it was difficult to ignore it. No matter how beautiful others were, it was difficult to make her disappear in the crowd. Also, the leisurely aura that came from her bones was very attractive. Ruan Fengfei covered her mouth and laughed. Miss Sun, are you worried that I will snatch you away? Yes, it's mainly because little Sister Wan is too attractive. I'm worried that if I don't keep an eye on her, she will forget about me. Sun Yijia said very frankly. What nonsense are you talking about? Jingwan gently pinched her. Sun Yijia immediately put on a wronged expression and pretended to be in pain as she rubbed the place where she was pinched. I'm talking nonsense? I have evidence. Jingwan didn't know whether to laugh or cry at her. Okay, don't be agitated. Be careful of the wound. It hurts. Sun Yijia stretched her hand to her lips like a child and wanted to blow on it. And the sound she made at the end of it was simply enough to give people goosebumps. Jingwan was extremely speechless. Was she addicted to playing with her? Seeing her stubbornly stretching out her hand, as if she wouldn't give up if she didn't satisfy her request, Jingwan unhappily blew on her hand twice. This scene made Ruan Fengfei quite surprised. She didn't have much contact with Sun Yijia, but she was very clear about her temperament. Was she actually like another person in private? It shouldn't be possible. If that was really the case, there wouldn't be no news at all. Then, was it just because of the Luo family's third young lady? It was very interesting. Looking at the Luo family's third young lady who was obviously younger, but had a doting attitude, this scene was really heartwarming. It was really dazzling to the eyes. She really wanted to destroy it. There are so many flowers, what are they for? Ruan Fengfei once again brought up the initial question. Originally, the four of us came to admire the flowers, but now that it's not convenient for them to come out, we are preparing to fold some back to make vases. Jingwan explained, her tone a little lighter. Ruan Fengfei's smile froze. Sorry, I don't know. If you want to talk about this, I am also responsible. If the cart driver can control it, perhaps. This matter naturally has nothing to do with Miss Ruan. Miss Ruan has also been frightened, so there's no need to take it to heart. Miss Luo is magnanimous. I'm just stating facts. Jingwan smiled faintly. It was just that Ruan Fengfei's injury wasn't serious and now she really looked like nothing had happened. However, she had been unconscious for a long time and didn't wake up until the people from the capital came yesterday. But after waking up, she was in good spirits and shouldn't have been frightened. She had underestimated the endurance of these girls. Miss, let's go back. You've been out for a long time and the old madam should be worried. The servant girl beside Ruan Fengfei said. Jingwan was still thinking why it wasn't Ruan Fengfei's mother who came, but then she reacted. This old madam was Ruan Fengfei's mother. She was young, but her seniority was high. Jingwan sometimes felt helpless and sad about the matter of old cows eating young grass in this world. These girls didn't marry at 17 or 18 and were considered old ladies. Without any status, they were arranged to be the second wives of those who could be their fathers or even their grandfathers. As for the men, they were already in their 50s or 60s, and no one would say anything about them eating those 13 or 14-year-old girls. Men were still like flowers at the age of 40, and women at the age of 40 could be classified as old people. This was how unfair it was. Ruan Fengfei came and left just like that. It seemed that because she was bored in her room, she came out to get some fresh air and some wind. Then, she plucked a peach blossom on the way. The two continued to pluck flowers. Little Sister Wan, do you think Miss Ruan's appearance here is a coincidence or something else? Jing Wan tilted her head to look at her. Sun Yijia was plucking flowers. She plucked one and reached for the next one. She was quiet, but there seemed to be something else in this silence. No matter what it is, it probably has nothing to do with us. Sun Yijia finally turned to look at Jing Wan. Little Sister Wan, what do you think of Miss Sun? It's just the first time I met her. It was only a short time and a few words. I didn't feel anything. Little Sister Wan, do you know? When I was young, my mother always told me that Miss Ruan, who was 2 months younger than me, never needed my parents to worry about her. As for you, you only thought about playing all day long. If Miss Ruan learned something but I didn't and couldn't learn it well, my mother would ask the female teacher to hit my hand. It hurt so much. At that time, I hated Miss Ruan very much. Every time I saw her, I wanted to rush up and hit her, but I couldn't. Then, I tried my best to learn. I thought that if I surpassed her, my mother wouldn't say that she was good and wouldn't hit me. Later, I got used to it. I didn't need anyone to urge me. I learned by myself. I didn't have to learn everything that she knew. I just learned some things that I liked. Until now, she's still so perfect that it's unreal. Jing Wan guessed that Sun Yijia grew up under pressure. However, she didn't expect that there would be a child from another family in her life, and this person's influence on her was so great. However, Jing Wan noticed Sun Yijia's last sentence, so perfect that it's unreal. This kind of person often hid a side that others didn't know. This kind of person always had 7 emotions and 6 desires. When they were affected by negative emotions, they always needed a way to vent. She had never shown her emotions in the places that others could see. Then, what about the places that others couldn't see? If it was just a normal way to vent, such as crying, it would be fine. However, there was another kind of person who was called a pervert. Of course, Jing Wan wouldn't speculate about others with malice. Maybe Ruan Fengfei was just a little picky and pursued perfection. Maybe she really had a life like her, so her emotions wouldn't be easily affected. As for whether she was a pervert or not, Jing Wan didn't think of deliberately finding out. It had nothing to do with her, right? However, if it wasn't a coincidence, and Ruan Fengfei really wasn't as perfect as she looked, her purpose of coming here might be to see with her own eyes whether Sun Yijia, who was as famous as her, was really disfigured. She used to have 2 first places. Now, she was unique. It should be something to be happy about, right? Sister Jia, do you care a lot? How could I care? Therefore, Ruan Fengfei's appearance was thrown to the back of their minds. Each of them held 2 peach blossoms in their hands. The big baskets in the hands of the maidservants were also full. However, they didn't go back directly. They went to many other places to look. Although White Dragon Temple was famous for its peach blossoms, it didn't mean that there were no other flowers. They more or less picked some. Jing Wan even asked the maidservants to pick a lot of wild flowers and bring them back. Because Yuan Qiao and Zhou Yingshuang lived in the same courtyard, they simply moved the 2 of them to the courtyard. It was inconvenient for them to move, so they just looked and smelled at the side. Regarding Jing Wan's flower arrangement, the people around her had long been accustomed to it. Although they still felt that it was amazing every time they saw it. It was the first time for the others to see it. Although the peach blossoms were beautiful, there were a lot of them placed together, and there were other miscellaneous things. However, under Jing Wan's hands, they were trimmed and trimmed. No matter if it was a basket or a vase, she could quickly arrange them into various shapes. Coupled with some other embellishments, it was clearly the same thing, but it felt different when looking at it. It was simply too beautiful. Sun Yijia and Yuan Xiaoqiao stared at Jingwan and couldn't help but praise. So amazing. Jingwan smiled and didn't say anything. Seeing Zhou Yingshuang's anxious and lonely expression, she moved the finished flower arrangement to a place where she could touch it. Yingshuang, smell it. Not far away, the two madams also couldn't help but nod. Madame Zhou said to Jingwan's aunt, Luo Ronghui, your family's daughter's skills are also superb. She has always lived with my mother in Qi and Prefecture. Today is also the first time I've seen her. After a moment of silence, Luo Ronghui continued, my mother doted on her the most. My mother is a person who clearly distinguishes between love and hate. If she likes someone, she likes them. If she doesn't like them, she doesn't like them. She doesn't care about sand in her eyes. It is very difficult for ordinary people to enter her eyes, but she has always placed third lass at the top of her heart and doted on her. Third lass, in fact, is really a good child. Madame Zhou actually understood Luo Ronghui's meaning. Seeing that Jingwan was always concerned about her daughter, she said, I know this matter can't be blamed on her, but it is hard for me to accept it at the moment. More importantly, our family's Yingshuang is currently discussing marriage with the son of the Imperial College's chancellor. They were even about to exchange marriage invitations, but she suddenly lost her sight. This matter is very likely to fail. Tell me, how can I not feel sad? As she spoke, she couldn't help but cry. Don't cry. They are happy right now. If they hear this, it will be very disappointing. Speaking of which, Lord Chancellor is a kind person. It is not impossible for your family's Yingshuang to regain her sight. Perhaps there won't be any problems with the marriage. Luo Ronghui consoled. Madame Zhou wiped away her tears. I hope so. Little sister Wan, please teach us. Sun Yijia looked at her expectantly. Okay. Actually, it is not difficult. Jingwan conveniently sat beside Zhou Yingshuang and asked the servant girls to bring scissors and other things. Then, as she spoke, she taught Zhou Yingshuang how to cut her hand. From time to time, she whispered a few words to her. Zhou Yingshuang smiled very happily. She touched her hand when she couldn't see. Even if she was accidentally pricked, she didn't care. When Sun Yijia and Yuan Xiaoqiao saw this, they looked at each other and smiled at the same time. Although they were in a bad situation when they first arrived at White Dragon Temple, it was also a good thing that they could still gather together happily. Actually, things like flower arrangement were more or less common for unmarried women. The basic things were not difficult. The key was that Jingwan taught them some small skills, which were very useful. She is the youngest, but the most considerate one who knows how to take care of others. If I were your mother, I would definitely like such a considerate girl. Madame Zhou replied. Luo Ronghui smiled. Our family's Xiaoqiao has been sick and listless before. Otherwise, she would complain that her leg hurts. But now, she is so happy that she has forgotten all about it. Yes, this situation is already much better than expected. Their mood is better now, so I think they will recover faster. Young miss, the things you asked for are here. Nurse Gong led a group of people to carry a large and heavy wooden box. What is this? Yuan Xiaoqiao asked curiously. Jingwan did not keep them in suspense. She opened the wooden box and found that it was filled with square blocks of mud. You asked the monks to help you with this? What are you going to do with this? Sun Yijia was puzzled. Of course it is to arrange flowers. Without further explanation, she directly started to do it. She brought over a table and piled up the mud blocks one by one. Some places were higher, while others were lower. Of course, Jingwan did not need to do it herself. The servant girls would do it according to her instructions. After the first step was completed, Jingwan started to decorate it. She did not touch the originally square blocks of mud. Instead, she decorated them with leaves, branches, and some wild flowers of different sizes and colors. When she stopped, the mud blocks no longer had their original angular appearance. They were completely a large and beautiful flower arrangement base. Soon after, Jingwan started to arrange flowers on top of this base. Because it was all soft mud, it was naturally easy to arrange. The flower arrangement that took up more than half of the table quickly took shape under Jingwan's hands. The flower arrangement they had seen before was basically the bouquet in the vase. This was the first time they knew that flower arrangement could be done this way. Sun Yijia could not help but walk forward. She wanted to reach out and touch it, but she seemed to be afraid that she would damage it. She could only praise, "It is really beautiful." Luo Ronghue and Zhou Furan could not help but gather around to take a look. Miss Luo's hands are really skillful. I don't deserve Furan's praise. It's just that I thought a little more than others. In fact, anyone can do it. But it's just that you thought a little more than others. Jingwan slightly blushed. This was not what she thought. She just saw a little more, but she could not explain it. Mother, don't block it. Let me take a good look. Yuan Xiaoqiao could not help but say. Okay, I'll let you. Luo Ronghue moved to the side. Zhou Yingshuang was the only one who couldn't see the hustle and bustle. She was anxious, but she just lay there quietly, imagining the special flower arrangement. During the whole process, the maidservant whispered into her ear in detail. She tried her best to imagine it, but she felt very empty. She did not feel that it was very beautiful. It was somewhat powerless. Her hand was suddenly grasped. Jingwan's soft words rang in her ear. When your eyes are better, I will arrange flowers for you. There are all kinds of flowers. You said it. When the time comes, if you do not meet my requirements, I will not comply. Zhou Yingshuang gently shook Jingwan's hand. Jingwan was true to her words. There were many more flower arrangements, filling Yuan Xiaoqiao and Zhou Yingshuang's room. Their side was harmonious, but Li Hongyuan's side was not so wonderful. Ruan Fengfei deliberately went after knowing that Wan Wan and the others went to the peach forest. She did not react when she saw Sun Yijia. Instead, her attention was more on Wan Wan, replying to Master, yes. Li Hongyuan's understanding of Ruan Fengfei was that she was unusually cold, but she never thought that there was anything wrong with her. As for whether she was jealous of other outstanding women, he really did not know, nor was he interested in knowing. However, she inexplicably stared at Wan Wan, so he could not ignore it. Li Hongyuan quietly pondered for a moment. After a while he said, "Prepare the people. When Wan Wan returns to the capital, immediately send them to her. In addition, Ruan Fengfei's side cannot be relaxed. The capital is always paying attention to how Imperial Father will deal with this matter. This prince wants to know as soon as possible." Yes. In fact, whether it was Eunuch Mu or an E, in this case, why didn't he directly deal with Ruan Fengfei? Or, did he really have feelings for Miss Ruan in his heart? Li Hongyuan glanced at them, and the two immediately abandoned the thoughts in their hearts, as if they were afraid that their master could see through it. In the next few days, Jingwan's group of 4 lived very peacefully and happily. Jingwan not only made flower arrangements for them, but also taught them how to make rouge with peach blossoms as the main ingredient. There were 1 or 2 times when she even carried Yuan Xiaoqiao and Zhou Yingshuang out on a soft couch and ran all over the mountain. They were happy, but those rough old maids were a bit suffering. However, for the sake of these older sisters, Jingwan could only apologize to them. As for the 3 Furans, seeing that their young ladies were happy and their bodies were recovering quickly, even if their words and deeds were a bit out of line, they would turn a blind eye. They often gathered together and talked happily. Perhaps Sun Yijia was used to it, so she didn't say anything about her mother's absence. Li Hongyuan didn't attack every day or night, but at least once every other night. Fortunately, except for one night when he gave Jingwan some calming medicine and hugged her to sleep, the rest of the time he just looked at her and left after sitting for an hour. This kind of life lasted for 7 or 8 days, and Li Hongyuan waited for news from the capital. Bestowed marriage? Imperial Father bestowed Sun Yijia to this prince? Li Hongyuan gently knocked on the table. You know that this prince likes beautiful women, but bestowed a disfigured one to this prince. Because this prince's whereabouts are unknown, you don't know about this matter and won't disobey the imperial decree, right? They all lowered their heads and didn't dare to breathe loudly. Speaking of which, How many times had their master been bestowed a marriage? Go and arrange for Ruan Fengfei to be bestowed to this prince as a side consort. The time can be delayed, it can be delayed for 10 days or half a month. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6652962. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. Bicken.com. Chapter 81. There had been no news of Li Hongyuan these days, and the case of the flower market didn't find anything important as he wished. However, it was more or less proved that his good sons were involved in it. It was just that none of them gained anything in the end. Lu Chengdi had been in a state of rage. In order to warn them, several groups of people were found to be important scapegoats. Nobody knew how many people's black veils had been stolen and how many people's blood had been stained. The princes all hid themselves obediently and didn't dare to act rashly. Even the people sent to White Dragon Temple were all withdrawn after receiving some specious news. Lu Chengdi sent people to the nearby villages and towns where White Dragon Temple was located. They constantly expanded the search area, including the river where Li Hongyuan fell into. He had been salvaged back and forth countless times. It was true that no one found him alive or dead. After so many days, they still couldn't find him. Most likely, he had been eaten by fish. Shut up. Lu Chengdi was furious. He just didn't believe that his scourge of a son was dead. Perhaps it was really because Ding General Manor had enjoyed supreme glory for nearly 100 years. Among the 4 dukes and 9 marquises who founded the country, Ding General Manor was the only one that stood firm. Therefore, in Duke Ding's subconscious mind, he could do whatever he wanted as long as it was not a crime of treason. Therefore, when Lu Chengdi was angry, he repeatedly ran to Lu Chengdi and cried that his poor daughter, who was in the prime of her life, was disfigured and her life was over. Lu Chengdi actually knew Duke Ding's purpose. He just wanted to give him a son-in-law that he liked. At this time, the Empress should have dissuaded her brother. However, for the sake of her son, she not only didn't dissuade him but also pretended to persuade Lu Chengdi. She said that her brother loved his daughter very much and only had one precious daughter. If his daughter's face was disfigured, it would only delay her marriage, and Lu Chengdi only needed to say a word to solve it. He said it so casually, as if Lu Chengdi's one word was enough to decide everything. Emperor Lu Chengdi laughed, which made Empress Sun inexplicably frightened. After that, she felt uneasy. Sure enough, something bad happened the next day. An imperial edict of marriage, written by Emperor Lu Chengdi himself, was read out in front of all the civil and military officials in the morning court. Once the imperial edict was issued, there was no room for regret. Seeing that more than half of the people in the imperial court were stunned, Lu Chengdi felt a sense of satisfaction. Don't think that Lu Chengdi didn't know that his eldest son's marriage with Sun Yijia was ruined by that vile spawn. Don't think that he didn't know that the Empress and the others wanted to use the marriage to rope in people. In order to find another good wife, Duke Dinggua's mansion was picking left and right and running around in many ways. Those who didn't know would think that he loved his daughter very much. And those who knew, many people secretly mocked him. This was not marrying his daughter, but selling her. To put it bluntly, it was no different from goods waiting for a high price. Whoever gave the highest price would be able to marry the unparalleled beauty. The power of Duke Ding's mansion was there, and the eldest son of the emperor had the highest possibility of ascending the throne. After all, he was the eldest son of the emperor. His ability was not the best among the princes, but it was not bad either. In terms of etiquette and law, it was justifiable for him to ascend the throne. Naturally, there were so many people who were eager to make a move, so that the rumors between Sun Yijia and the eldest son of the emperor, Prince Kong, could be ignored. Unfortunately, before the dust settled, something happened to Sun Yijia. It had to be said that Sun Yijia's existence in this transaction was equivalent to a token. As long as she existed well, that was her greatest value. Then, whether her face was intact or not wasn't that important. However, if they really voluntarily married such a woman, the transaction would be put on the table. Some things were very good to know, but they couldn't be exposed to the surface. Face was very important to a family. If they only cared about benefits and didn't ask about anything else, it would only be criticized. Duke Ding's behavior was just to let Lu Qingdi issue an edict to save their face. After all, it was difficult to take the emperor's order. They had obviously gained benefits, but they still pretended that they had no choice. Sun Yijia, including Jing Wan, and even Sun Yilin, who had just been involved in the officialdom, only thought that Sun Yijia, who was disfigured, would be abandoned. Who would have thought that Duke Ding would go to such an extent? He didn't give her a way out at all. How bitterly disappointed and sad it was. And this time, it could be regarded as a lesson to them. Never underestimate some people's cold-bloodedness and shamelessness. Unfortunately, they miscalculated one thing. Lu Qingdi was indeed a relatively moderate emperor. He didn't make decisions on the court, nor did he have the ambition to expand the territory of Qi Yuan. However, it didn't mean that he didn't have a temper and would be led by the nose by a group of people. If they really annoyed him, no one would have a good time. Duke Ding, aren't you worried that your daughter won't be able to get married? Fine, now I'll give my son to you as your son-in-law. I've given you a lot of face. What? Are you dissatisfied with my son, Duke Ding? No, Your Majesty. Jin Qinhuang is handsome, elegant, and elegant. Your daughter, even before her disfigurement, was barely worthy of him. What she looks like now, although I haven't seen it, I can imagine it. Seeing that Duke Ding has always been loyal and devoted, I can't bear to see my beloved officials worry all day long, so I reluctantly set your daughter as Jin Qinhuang's consort. Lu Qingdi put on an attitude that he had suffered a great loss for Duke Ding. He almost directly said, "Son, I've let you down. I've chosen such a Wang Fei for you, but I have no choice. Duke Ding is wholeheartedly devoted to the country. I can't chill the officials' hearts, so I can only wrong you to solve my worries for me. Duke Ding, my son is highly talented, knowledgeable, and skilled in both civil and military affairs. Now, he wants to marry your daughter. He's sacrificed so much. Don't you feel embarrassed if you don't prepare more dowry for your daughter?" When the courtiers listened to Lu Qingdi's tearful narration, they couldn't help but lower their heads again and again, covering the twitching corners of their mouths. "Your Majesty, can you still have a little face? Even if you praise your son as if he's unparalleled in the heavens, you can't change the fact that he has no good points except for his face. There's also that rotten reputation. Even if you don't like Duke Ding, you have to say that even the disfigured Miss Sun is wrong to marry your son. Also, counting with your fingers, from the time Jin Qinhuang left the palace until now, how many times have you bestowed a marriage? The 7th time, the 7th time. There's no one else who can jinx his wife to this extent. Just because you're the emperor, you can't disregard someone else's daughter's life, right? Also, there's still no news from Jin Qinhuang. Most likely, was he preparing to hold a ghost marriage for Sun Yijia to be the widow, or what? Even if some people knew the actual situation of Li Hongyuan, they believed that he wouldn't easily get into trouble, so they couldn't argue for Lu Qingdi. Although you praised your son by a fluke, there wasn't a single mistake. His temperament was unpredictable, and his temperament was still acceptable. Even adding on the reputation of jinxing his wife, they were still willing to send their daughters to Jin Qinhuang Fu to serve him. It was only jinxing his wife, not being a legitimate wife was enough, but, alas, sending their own daughters to him would only be a waste, and they wouldn't be able to reap any benefits. It's better not to think about using this method to climb up the ranks. Duke Ding knelt in the main hall. Not to mention that his abacus had fallen through, Lu Qingdi also named him to give a generous dowry to compensate his son. "Beloved Minister Son." Duke Ding quivered. "This official thanks your Majesty for your grace. For my daughter to be able to marry Jin Qinhuang as a consort, it's the good fortune of 3 lifetimes. It's good that beloved minister knows." Lu Qingdi was satisfied. If the people around Li Hongyuan saw the current Lu Qingdi, they would probably be able to find the reason for their master's shamelessness. They were simply father and son in the same vein. Lu Qingdi's sudden imperial edict hadn't been dismissed yet, so the entire harem knew about it. After a moment of shock, some people were completely dumbfounded, while others clapped and laughed. The emperor's move was simply a stroke of genius. Not only did it disrupt the plans of the empress and the eldest prince, but it also made Duke Ding's Fu suffer a double loss. Jin Qin Wang was Imperial Consort Su's adopted son. The mother and son relationship was deep, so it was absolutely impossible for him to stand on the empress's side. Moreover, Sun Yijia was disfigured. Even if she could successfully marry into Jin Qin Wang Fu, being a living widow was considered light. Jin Qin Wang, who only loved beauties, might hate her, which was equivalent to forming a death grudge. If Duke Ding's Fu defected to Imperial Consort Su's side, the situation could be eased and Sun Yijia could live a better life. However, Duke Ding's Fu was the empress and the eldest prince's hardcore supporters. The final result was that Sun Yijia was completely reduced to a useless chess piece and no longer had any use. There was also that Sun Yilin, who couldn't stand in the court, but was also the inner court's official in the palace. When he heard about it, he almost broke the brush in his hand. He originally wanted to fight for a chance for his younger sister. Unfortunately, because of that good father of his, he thoroughly angered the emperor. Now, it was too late. Everything was too late. Although he had the emperor's favor and trust, it was far from being able to make the emperor take back his order. So hateful, really hateful. Sun Yilin had never regretted it like this. If he didn't back down from the beginning, if he climbed up from the beginning, how could he not have any right to speak now? The veins on his clenched fists were bulging, his teeth were clenched, and his eyes were gloomy as if they were about to drip out. His whole body exuded a malicious aura, which made the little eunuchs serving in the inner court tremble. They only felt that how could the usually genial and elegant Gongzi be so terrifying? Sun Yilin gradually restrained his emotions after a long while. He slightly lowered his head, looked at his palm, and whispered, "Good younger sister, just wait. Even if you marry into Jin Qin Wang Fu, I will make sure that Jin Qin Wang doesn't dare to neglect you even a little bit." When Duchess Ding Guaforen learned this news, her eyes darkened and she almost fainted, scaring the people who served her. It wasn't easy for her to calm down, but she couldn't stop her tears from falling down. Her poor daughter, ah. These days, she tried to dissuade Duke Dinggua. Her daughter was already so pitiful, she shouldn't really force her into a dead end. However, it was useless. She could only hope that even if the future son-in-law didn't like her daughter, it was fine to let her live her own life in the inner court, as long as he didn't treat her harshly. Now it was all over, all over. Jin Qin Wang, that living king of hell, her daughter might die in his hands one day. Duke, you are so cruel and don't care about the affection between father and daughter. Then, from now on, don't blame me for being ruthless. Later, this matter spread all over the capital. Originally, there weren't many people who knew about Sun Yijia's disfigurement. Because of her father's unbridled publicity, not to mention the common people, at least those officials knew about it. Now that they knew that Sun Yijia had such a result, there were fewer people who rejoiced in her misfortune. It was a pity, really a pity, ah. What's a pity? She can still be a Wang Fei after being disfigured. I say, her life is especially good. There was no lack of people who said this. But Jin Qin Wang's reputation, and even now, we don't know if he's dead or alive. His Majesty is aware of this situation and still issued an imperial edict to grant marriage. Then Sun Yijia must be married. It depends on whether she marries a dead person or a living person. But no matter what, she is still a Wang Fei ah. It sounds so majestic. I say, if Jin Qin Wang is really gone, it would be better for Miss Sunday. If he is still alive, I don't know if Miss Sun can safely survive until the day of her marriage. I heard that none of Jin Qin Wang's previous fiancés had a good end. If they didn't die, they were injured, and even their chastity was destroyed. Duchess Ding Guaforen originally didn't intend to send a letter to Sun Yijia, but she would know sooner or later. If she came back and was caught unprepared to face this bad news, it would be better to tell her in advance and let her be mentally prepared. She hardened her heart and personally wrote a letter, letting the servants whip the horse to send it to Bai Long Temple. Compared to Li Hongyuan, who used pigeons to send letters, they received the news before the morning court was over. Sun Yijia's side was naturally much slower. She was originally happy, but after Sun Yijia opened the letter and read it, her body went limp and she almost fell to the ground. Jia Jie. Jing Wan quickly stepped forward to support her. She saw that her eyes were absent-minded, as if she had lost her soul in an instant. "What's wrong? What happened?" she carefully asked, thinking that Duke Ding Guafuren had caused trouble again, but she didn't get a response from Sun Yijia. Jing Wan frowned and reached out to pick up the letter that fell to the ground. Although it was rude to privately read other people's letters, she couldn't care so much now. After a closer look, Jing Wan's face also became very unsightly. This letter clearly stated the cause and effect of the marriage. "Jing Wan, what's wrong?" Yuan Chao Chao saw them like this and couldn't help but ask anxiously. These days, she got along with Sun Yijia, so their relationship naturally improved by leaps and bounds. They were already close friends. She knew that something big must have happened, so she was very worried. Zhou Yingshuang also had a face full of doubts. Jing Wan looked at Sun Yijia, the pit of her stomach feeling uncomfortable. She opened her mouth with difficulty. Duke Dinggua used Jia Jejia's face injury as an excuse to pretend to be pitiful in an attempt to have His Majesty decree a marriage. He angered His Majesty, so His Majesty bestowed Jia Jejie to Jin Qin Wang. What? Yuan Chao Chao and Zhou Yingshuang were so shocked that they almost sat up. How could this be? Why did it have to be Jin Qin Wang? Even if he is a scholar, he is still a powerful country's Jin Qin Wang Ah. Isn't this pushing Yijia into the fire pit? Jing Wan didn't have a comprehensive understanding of the rumors about Jin Qin Wang, but just knowing that was enough to determine that this person was definitely not a good match. She also understood that many things were actually exaggerated, but the 22-year-old Jin Qin Wang didn't have a proper female master in the Fu. This was very clear that there was a problem. Moreover, based on the things he did to her that night, she could basically conclude that there was still a white moonlight in his heart and a cinnabar at the tip of his heart. She was clear about a man's bad nature. The more he couldn't get it, the more he wanted it. And what if that woman appeared again? Once that heart was partial to a woman, it would become unreasonable. Marrying such a person, it would be very difficult to live her own life without caring about anything in the inner courtyard. In order to make room for the person in his heart, perhaps she could do all kinds of crazy things. If Li Hongyuan knew of Jingwan's thoughts, wouldn't he vomit 3 liters of blood? However, Jingwan's last thought was really not wrong. A certain king of hell did a lot of crazy things in order to leave the position of D-wife unsullied for her. Jingwan held Sun Yijia's shoulder, not knowing how to comfort her. Perhaps the saddest thing in her heart wasn't that she was bestowed a marriage to Jin Qin Wang, but her father's actions. Jia Jejie, Jin Qin Wang may not be so unbearable. Jing Wan said against her heart. Not so unbearable? Yuan Chao Chao suddenly became agitated. My good younger cousin, that is because you are not in the capital and do not know the person Jin Qin Wang. Let me tell you, that person Jin Qin Wang is cruel and callous. He eats human flesh, drinks human blood, is greedy for flowers and is lecherous. He does not discriminate between men and women, whether it is hot or cold. As long as it is a beauty, he has his eyes on it. No matter if it is fragrant or stinky, he will get it in his hands. In the capital, there is also another courtyard where he specially keeps beauties. I heard that there are even mother and daughter inside. Just because he has taken a fancy to a married woman, it is not the first or second time that he has caused the family to be ruined and the family to perish. He is also fickle and cold-blooded. Oh! Chao Chao, shut up, because Yuan Chao Chao raised her voice, it attracted the attention of several Furins on the other side. Hearing Yuan Chao Chao's words, Luo Ronghui almost fainted from anger and hurriedly rushed over. Are these words for a girl like you to say? Is Jin Qin Wang something you can talk about? You don't want your life anymore? He poked her forehead hatefully. When did I talk about it? This is clearly something that everyone knows. Why can't I say it? Jin Qin Wang dares to do it. Is he afraid of being talked about? You're still talking. Luo Ronghui wished he could cover her mouth. Cough, 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 cough. Probably because she was too agitated, Yuan Xiao violently coughed. My little ancestor, quickly stop for a moment. Luo Ronghui hurriedly patted her back and took the water handed over by the maidservant to feed her. Jingwan was also shocked by Yuan Xiao's explosive news. It wasn't until she heard Yuan Xiao's coughing that she came back to her senses and hurriedly went forward to appease her. Okay, I know. You calm down a bit. What they didn't know was that Yuan Xiao's words were coincidentally heard by a certain person who was bored and came to the corner to eavesdrop. Only separated by a few bushes of flowers and trees, Li Hongyuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He almost lost his reason and directly went out to strangle Yuan Xiao to death. Eunuch Mu's shadow guards who were hidden in the dark shrunk their necks and acted like ostriches. They were really afraid that he would take his anger out on them and drag them out to chop them up and feed them to the dogs. This cousin of the future Wang Fei was too daring. Even if it was a fact that everyone knew, she shouldn't say it so bluntly. Moreover, she said it to the future Wang Fei. It didn't matter if her own little life was targeted, but it would implicate others. Li Hongyuan broke a branch with a snap, which naturally alarmed Jingwan and the others. Who is it? Nanny Gong scolded and turned to look at the flower bushes. As expected, she met Li Hongyuan's gloomy eyes. She squatted down to greet him. In fact, she had noticed them when they came. After all, Eunuch Mu was not a person who practiced martial arts. Others might be able to hide, but Nanny Gong heard his footsteps clearly. Therefore, Nanny Gong went over as soon as she heard the sound, in case they were discovered by others because they didn't leave immediately. At that time, it would be strange if Li Hongyuan didn't do anything when they were caught talking bad about others. However, he couldn't kill them to silence them. Otherwise, his secret would be exposed. Seeing Li Hongyuan's expression, Nanny Gong felt inexplicably happy and gloated. Now that you know these things, if you keep it in your heart, you will suffer when you get married in the future. What's more, it's all fake, but it's hard to explain. That kind of grievance, haha. Nanny Gong's expression was clearly seen by Li Hongyuan after they looked at each other for a breath. He turned around and walked away. In just 2 or 3 steps, he disappeared behind another bush of flowers and trees. Therefore, even if Nanny Gong didn't come to check, it was easy for him to not be seen by others. Nanny Gong turned back and the others looked at her. After all, what Yuan Xiao said just now was disgraceful. If it was really spread out, it would be no joke. No one. It was just an animal that came in from outside. It stepped on the branch and flashed past. I didn't see what it was. Everyone was relieved. Yuan Xiao patted her chest with lingering fear. Luo Ronghui poked her forehead again. After that, the Furins also knew the reason for Yuan Xiao's gaffe. They couldn't help but look at Sun Yijia with pity and sympathy. Before coming to Bai Long Temple, I heard that Jin Qin Wang was attacked by an assassin. Mother. Jingwan raised her voice. Yuan Xiao was frank and outspoken, but now she was naive. None of them were easy to worry about. Moreover, Jin Qin Wang was still alive and well. Zhongshe shut her mouth in embarrassment. She knew that she said the wrong thing. At this time, Sun Yijia also calmed down a bit. She smiled softly. Don't worry. No matter how bad it is, it's just like this. If you really care about me, then accompany me more before I get married. That smile was so hurtful, so dazzling. Not long after, Ruan Fengfei also received the news. Naturally, it wasn't her father who passed it to her. It was her people who specifically instructed them to pay attention to Jin Qin Wang. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6652963. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 82. This was probably the so-called heavens were playing tricks on people. Sun Yijia was not young anymore, and Li Hongyuan was even more so. In addition, there were always problems with his son's marriage over the years. Several of his younger brothers had already married and had families. Lu Qingdi was also anxious, so after issuing the edict, he directly asked the imperial astronomer to calculate the nearest auspicious date. The result was that it would be next month, 10 days after the imperial examination in spring. Therefore, Lu Qingdi decided to let his evil son get married immediately after the imperial examination in spring. For the imperial court, it could be regarded as a double blessing. As for his son, he hadn't found him yet? It didn't matter. He continued to look for him. Anyway, he firmly believed that he was still alive. If he could make it in time, he would marry himself. If he couldn't, he could use other methods to replace him. When he came back, he would directly consummate the marriage. His son was so beautiful. His future daughter-in-law was disfigured? It didn't matter. Once the light went out, she wouldn't look or touch. After giving birth to a legitimate son, she would have nothing to do with it. As the future princess, how could Sun Yijia not come back yet? Duke Ding, hurry up and bring your daughter back to prepare for the marriage. Lu Qingdi calmly gave out orders one by one. The Ministry of Rites should hurry up with the things that should be done, and the Ministry of Household Affairs should prepare the betrothal gifts. In short, even if you guys are as busy as dogs and exhausted to death, you have to make sure that my son's marriage is done perfectly. It was understandable that he set such a tight schedule. After all, Li Hongyuan was almost a veritable, crazy wife-killer. However, after Lu Qingdi granted Li Hongyuan a marriage, he seemed to be no longer irritable or worried. Occasionally, he smiled amiably at the ministers and began to set foot in the harem again. He listened to music, enjoyed dancing, and drank fine wine. Nothing was left behind. It really made people look askance, including his close servants, puzzled. Because the contrast was too big, people couldn't help but wonder if Lu Qingdi had something they didn't know. For example, Li Hongyuan had been found a long time ago. The reason why he kept it a secret was because he wanted to use this opportunity to clean up the expanding power in the hands of his sons. He wanted them to know that the person sitting on the dragon throne was still their father. If they dared to think about something they shouldn't think about, no matter who they were, be careful that he would chop off their claws. This speculation was not without basis, because after the marriage decree, Lu Qingdi removed the black gauze of a group of officials. Although until now, they still hadn't found out who was the one who attacked Jin Qin Wang, or perhaps Lu Qingdi already knew, it was just that the murderer was too special. Lu Qingdi still caught a scapegoat and didn't even pin the crime of stabbing a Qin Wang. And the scapegoat was the same as before, he didn't belong to any side. Most likely, it was to confuse the public. Lu Qingdi's sons were secretly shocked by their father's means. In fact, Lu Qingdi was also very miserable. His men failed to find out the real culprit behind the scenes, and the clues that seemed to be clues vaguely pointed out that his good sons were vaguely involved in the flower market. What could he do? Kill his sons? That was absolutely impossible, not to mention that there was no definite evidence. To let it go so easily? That also couldn't be done. His sons would have suffered in vain, and it would also increase the courage of the person behind the scenes. Thus, there was a method that wasn't a method. Jade Essence Palace, Imperial concubine Su and Li Hongyuan were drinking tea. At first, it was quiet and there was almost no sound. Mu Fei, what is Fu Huang doing? I can't see through his tricks at all. And Li? Sixth brother, is he really? Ming nothing will happen to you on Absolutely nothing will happen, do you understand? Imperial concubine Su stared at Li Hongming, her eyes slightly red. It was obvious that she hadn't rested well recently. It was obvious that she was enduring fear and worry, as if Li Hongming dared to say a bad word, the cup in her hand would be smashed at his head. What was wrong with Lu Qingdi? It was just that Yuan hadn't been found for a long time, so he probably had some hysteria. Li Hongyuan was too special for Lu Qingdi. The corners of Li Hongming's mouth twitched a little with a bit of unspeakable mockery, but he didn't know who the target of his mockery was. Every time it was related to Li Hongyuan, Mu Fei always stood on Li Hongyuan's side. Sometimes, he wondered if he was actually her adopted son. It had been more than 20 years, Mu Fei. You really worked hard. Mu Fei, you're right. How could something happen to sixth brother? Maybe he was saved by someone, and because of an accident, he hasn't been found yet. Imperial concubine Su's expression eased a little, as if she was comforted by Li Hongming. She held the cup and took a sip, but her hand trembled slightly and she almost dropped the cup. After the faint smoke, her expression became more and more haggard. That Miss Sun is good in all aspects, but after all, her face is disfigured. I'm worried that your sixth brother won't even be willing to enter the bridal chamber. After all, this time, your imperial father personally granted the marriage. What if he angers your imperial father again? Li Hongming restrained his emotions and chuckled. Mu Fei, you'd better worry. If sixth brother comes back and finds out that he was granted a disfigured princess, will he directly disobey the edict and make a big fuss? Otherwise, even if he doesn't disobey the edict, what if he sleeps in a brothel on the day of the wedding? It will be a big joke. Imperial concubine Su also rubbed her eyebrows with a headache. That was really something he would do. In the end, she could only smash the broken pot. Anyway, he has offended those he shouldn't have offended, and those he shouldn't have offended. This one doesn't make a difference. I'll discuss with your imperial father and see if we can choose 2 more beauties to compensate him. Li Hongming thought of the dancer he asked for from Li Hongyuan a few days ago. The taste was really good. Will sixth brother lack beauties? How can that be the same? Those women's statuses are too low. Yuan is right to send them to other courtyards. Their statuses are high, and they are beautiful enough. After going to Sun Yijia, there seems to be only one left in the big capital. Imperial concubine Su was startled when she heard this. Then she said, Ming don't talk nonsense. Mu Fei, I'm not talking nonsense. You probably don't know, but Ruan Fengfei's marriage has been delayed, just like Sun Yijia. It's not because Grand Elder Ruan is picky, but because Ruan Fengfei admires sixth brother. Li Hongming's lips curled up. He was in a good mood when talking about this. Is this true? Imperial concubine Su asked in disbelief. Of course it's true. In fact, regarding this matter, if one paid attention, they would more or less know about it. Why didn't I pay attention before? Li Hongming was obviously annoyed that he only found out about such an important matter 2 days ago. Do you know why Miss Ruan is coincidentally at White Dragon Temple? It's said that after hearing that sixth brother was punished, she followed. If it wasn't for the people sent to White Dragon Temple accidentally finding out, we would still be in the dark. Fortunately, it's not too late to find out now. I just don't know if my brothers also found out about this matter. Ming, you want to? It's probably because Grand Elder Ruan is suppressing it, so it didn't come out. Otherwise, Ruan Fengfei and sixth brother might even have a child. Since I'm interested, why not add fuel to the fire? If Grand Elder Ruan becomes sixth brother's father-in-law, could it be that he will cut ties with us? Grand Elder Ruan isn't an easy person to deal with. Moreover, if his beloved daughter becomes a concubine, it's possible that he won't be able to rope her in and might even become enemies. If everything comes from Miss Ruan's own hands, and she's willing, Sun Yijia obviously won't be liked by sixth brother and will only exist in name. If Ruan Fengfei enters Jin Qin Wang Fu, she will definitely be at Sifei. Other than that, she will be the true mistress. As long as sixth brother doesn't have a second Sifei, no one can be on equal footing with her, let alone be above her. The possibility that Ruan Fengfei won't agree is too low. If you want to talk about looks, it's just taking advantage. Sixth brother can also be favored by a fairy-like girl like Yuan Fengfei. Like Yuan, What's wrong with Yuan? What's wrong with him? Imperial concubine Su immediately said in dissatisfaction. Yes, yes, sixth brother is your heart. In your eyes, there's nothing bad about him. Li Hongming said rather helplessly. Do as you see fit. Be careful. If you mess it up, it's not a joke. Don't worry, Mu Fei. I know how powerful it is. Imperial concubine Su paused. Also, tell your sixth brother in advance. Mu Fei is really thinking about sixth brother's feelings all the time. Sending him a beauty and asking if he's willing. Imperial concubine Su cast a sidelong glance at him. Okay, a Ken knows. As for whether he would do it or not, that was another matter. That sixth brother of his was a natural rebel. If he told him, he might ruin the plan. Besides, the one who acted was Yuan Fengfei. Even if he wanted to flare up, he couldn't find it on his head. Imperial concubine Su glanced at him and didn't say anything. At this time, a palace servant hurriedly came to report, Nyang Wangye Wang Fei sent someone to report that Chen Shijie is having a fit and is about to give birth. Li Hongming didn't have any reaction, but Imperial concubine Su was slightly startled and almost dropped her teacup. However, she quickly calmed down, except for the slight abnormality in her eyes. Okay, don't stay here anymore. Leave the palace as soon as possible. After the child is born, just send someone to report to me. How could Li Hongming not know what his Mu Fei was thinking? Although he got married relatively late, it had been several years and he only had 2 legitimate daughters. There weren't many women in his harem, but there weren't few either. He had a lot of work to do, so he didn't have much time to go to the harem. But even so, there shouldn't be no movement in the harem except for Wang Fei. But in reality, his Wang Fei really didn't do anything to the women in the harem. Chen Shi was personally picked by his virtuous Wang Fei. Out of respect for his Wang Fei, she only slept with him for a few nights. Unexpectedly, she really got pregnant. Imperial concubine Su looked indifferent on the surface. No one knew what she was thinking, but Li Hongming knew it all too well. Their brothers ranked in the top 10, except for the long-dead 2nd and 8th, the unmarried 6th, as well as the recently married 9th and 10th, including the sickly 5th, all had sons. He was the only one who didn't. Just from this point, his confidence was much weaker. In a situation where many princes were married, it was basically impossible to let a childless prince be the crown prince. Imperial concubine Su could compete with the empress, but when it came to grandchildren, she couldn't raise her head. Therefore, Imperial concubine Su actually cared a lot about Chen Shi's child. In comparison, Li Hongming didn't really care because he knew very well that in this life-and-death battle, it wasn't important at all whether he had a son or not. According to normal circumstances, the throne couldn't be his. This was destined from the beginning, so why should he waste so much time on those women? When he ascended the throne in the future, he could have any woman he wanted and as many sons as he wanted. Then this official will withdraw first. Li Hongming had just left the palace and got on the carriage when his personal attendant told him, Wangye, Jin Qin Wang has been found, Shongan, oh? He's really lucky. Regardless of whether Li Hongyuan was alive or dead, Li Hongming didn't have much of a reaction. However, he knew from his Mu Fei's words and actions that Li Hongyuan being alive was far more beneficial than harmful to him. Therefore, even though he really wanted him to die, he still hoped that he would live until Lu Cheng Emperor passed away, live until he successfully ascended the throne. Li Hongming knew that there were things he didn't know. However, on the surface, Li Hongyuan made enemies on all sides, and even if he was messing with him, he didn't show any mercy. But overall, the losses he caused to others were far greater than him. The trouble he created for him might have made people gnash their teeth in hatred at the time, but in reality, it didn't matter. Tell Ben Wang the details. Yes. After Jin Qin Wang was injured and fell into the water, he was fished out by a large white ape not long after. Wait, large white ape? Are you sure? Li Hongming asked incredulously. The news from White Dragon Temple indeed said so. Many people have seen that large white ape. It's taller than a person and has extraordinary strength. It's said that the large white ape was raised by a traveling doctor. That person just happened to enter White Dragon Mountain to pick herbs some time ago. That white ape might have stayed with the traveling doctor for a long time. Not to mention that it understood human nature, it could also help. I heard that it wasn't the first time it saved someone. The large white ape followed them into the mountain. Perhaps it recovered some of its original nature and scuttled all over the mountain. When it saw Jin Qin Wang who had fallen into the water, it brought him back. That traveling doctor's temperament was strange, and he didn't fear the powerful. He clearly saw that Jin Qin Wang's identity was not ordinary, but he didn't interrupt the journey. Instead, he let the large white ape carry Jin Qin Wang into the depths of the mountain. Thus, Jin Qin Wang didn't follow the river downstream. The people sent by His Majesty couldn't find Jin Qin Wang. When that traveling doctor returned from picking herbs, Jin Qin Wang followed him out. The injuries on his body were already much better. In that case, Ben Wang's sixth brother's luck really isn't ordinary. There's no problem with that traveling doctor's identity? Replying to Wang Ye, there's no problem. Many people have seen him, especially those poor commoners. Many people have received his kindness. Li Hongyuan pondered. Right now, he wasn't sure if it was the truth or if everything was arranged by his Fu Huang so that Li Hongyuan could reasonably appear in front of people. If it was the latter, then this line was arranged too long. His Fu Huang was able to predict the future to this extent? After thinking about it carefully, Li Hongming was more inclined towards the former. Where is sixth brother? Where is he now? Replying to Wang Ye, Jin Qin Wang is currently recuperating at White Dragon Temple. It's not known when he will return. His wedding is next month. There are still many things that require him to be busy. He won't stay at White Dragon Temple for too long. That's right. Does he know that Fu Huang has bestowed a marriage to him? Perhaps he knows, or perhaps no one told him. After all, the imperial edict wasn't directly sent to White Dragon Temple. Ben Wang had forgotten. Ben Wang's future sixth sister-in-law is also at White Dragon Temple. Also, Ruan Fong Fei. Li Hongyuan smiled with interest. These two people should already know about this marriage. Sun Yijia might be completely disheartened, but Ruan Fong Fei's heart was full of admiration for the man that Sun Yijia didn't want to marry. Bumping into each other like this, even a woman like Ruan Fong Fei would be jealous, right? Once this kind of jealousy accumulated, it would be very easy to carry out some of his plans if he were to provoke her a little. The people in the plan were all at White Dragon Temple. That was a good place to carry out the plan. Unfortunately, it was already too late. If he knew about this earlier, it would be good. Next time, it wouldn't be so easy to find such a good opportunity. However, where there's a will, there's a way. Haste makes waste, especially when Fu Huang's body was still very healthy. He still had time to make arrangements. Wang Ye, the road ahead is blocked? What's the matter? Go take a look. Yes. The guard who went to inquire soon returned. Wang Ye, the carriage of great elder Princess Wang Zhu collided with that of Luo Shongshu's granddaughter. Luo Shongshu's granddaughter? Do you know who she is? Li Hongming thought of the Luo family's third daughter last time. Wang Ye, it's the fourth daughter of the Luo family. Li Hongming pondered for a moment, got up, lifted the curtain, and got out of the carriage in person. What's the matter? Third cousin. The curtain of the carriage with the mark of great elder princess's mansion was lifted, revealing a 7 or 8-year-old girl. Third cousin, why are you here? Yu Yao. Li Hongming reached out to touch her head. Cousin has something to do and has to go back. What's the matter? The girl immediately pouted her mouth discontentedly, lifted the curtain wider, and motioned Li Hongming to look inside the carriage. The carriage broke my colored glass lamp. I came out today to get this lamp. I was going to give it to my mother as a birthday gift. Li Hongming saw that the beautiful colored glass lamp in the carriage was indeed broken in a corner, and then glanced at the pitiful figure in front of the carriage, biting her lips. Her clothes were not bad. Luo Shongshu's family was rich, but as far as he knew, The fourth daughter was the daughter of a concubine of Luo Shongshu, who was not very favored by Luo Shongshu, so their family was not very rich. This lamp cost at least 2,000 or 3,000 taels of silver. In addition, it seemed that the son of a concubine of Luo Shongshu was very close to his eldest brother's people. Li Hongming's mind had already turned a few times. At this moment, he saw that the girl was looking at him with expectant eyes. Li Hongming smiled comfortingly, and then turned to old lady Yu Yao. "This thing is very precious. It will break if you touch it. The carriage is not a good place to play with it. This girl definitely did not do it on purpose. How about this? Cousin will give you a more beautiful one, and for cousin's sake, let's forget about this matter. How about it?" Old lady Yu Yao was still hesitant. A qualified noble lady should be magnanimous. "Okay, but cousin, remember to give me the colored glass lamp." "Okay, I'll send it to you later." Li Hongming smiled gently. "Then cousin, I'll go back first. I've been out for a long time. Mother will be worried." "Okay, please send my regards to Aunt. I've been busy recently. I'll pay my respects to Aunt on her birthday." Old lady Yu Yao nodded. After sending old lady Yu Yao away, Li Hongming took 2 steps towards Luo Jingying. Luo Jingying hurriedly saluted, "Greetings to Wang Ye." "No need to be so polite." Li Hongming raised his hand. "Miss, are you hurt?" "Thank you, Wang Ye. Chenu is fine." Li Hongming nodded. "Go back early. It's best to have a doctor take a look." Luo Jingying whispered a yes. "Wang Ye, Chenu will find a way to compensate Wang Ye for the colored glass lamp." "Will Ben Wang be short of a colored glass lamp?" "Go back early." Li Hongming turned and got into the carriage. When the curtain of the carriage was put down, he saw Luo Jingying staring at him in a daze. He smiled softly. Unsurprisingly, he saw the other party blushing shyly. When the curtain fell, the smile on his face carried a bit of pride and sarcasm. Pride because he was always successful with women, but the irony was that these women were all the same. Li Hongming returned to the Rue Prince mansion. Although he didn't care if he had a son or not, it would be good to have one. After all, some of the officials who followed him had some opinions on this point. He didn't go overboard, but still asked indifferently. Knowing that it would take a long time, Li Hongming turned and went to the study. He would inform him when the child was born. Princess Rue was waiting outside the delivery room. Knowing that her Wang Ye wouldn't come, she didn't feel happy, but rather sad. She had been married to Prince Rue for a few years now, and everyone knew that they were deeply in love with each other. Being able to marry Prince Rue was a blessing accumulated from 8 lifetimes. The Gong Prince's mansion looked peaceful and quiet, but that was because the Gong Prince was afraid of his father-in-law. The Gong Qin Princess consort looked like she was living a happy life, but who knew how bitter it was inside? She was the best. Prince Rue was full of wisdom, an elegant gentleman, kind and capable, and was valued by the emperor, so he was very considerate to her. Princess Rue had a smile on her face, but her heart was bitter. Prince Rue didn't have much of a smile when he returned to the mansion. He was always busy. Rather than saying that he didn't get close to women, it was better to say that he didn't have time. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6652965. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gu mobile reading website, bicken.com. Chapter 83. Master, concubine Qian has given birth to a young commandery princess. Li Hongming's close servant heard the noise outside the study and went out quietly. He came back quickly, but he was very careful when he spoke, for fear of making his master unhappy. Not to mention the masters, even the servants hoped that the baby would be a young master. Many people said that it would most likely be a boy. Why didn't they bring a son? I know. Let the princess arrange it. Do what you need to do. Li Hongming continued to write something. His expression didn't change from beginning to end, and he didn't raise his head. The speed of his writing was the same. Send someone to the palace to inform Imperial Concubine Mother. Yes. Seeing that their master wasn't angry, they were relieved, but at the same time, they felt a little cold in their hearts. Outsiders said that they followed a good master. In fact, their master wasn't so easy to serve. Perhaps his gentleness and elegance were all used up outside the manor. It was rare to see him smile in the manor, and he was never soft-hearted to those who made mistakes. After noble consort Su got the news, she paused for a moment, and there was a trace of disappointment in her eyes. Then she put it away and let the servants around her give out the things they prepared. After that, she didn't do anything. When Qian Shi was pregnant, she could be said to be a treasure in the palm of the hand. If she could give birth to a son, she would still be a treasure. It was a pity that she gave birth to a daughter. Thus, other than the reward that was far below the norm, she did not receive anything. The promised position of concubine Qian was gone, and she still had to raise the debt collector who brought all these disasters to her. Originally, when she was still in the belly, she was told that if she gave birth to a son, he would be taken away, but she would be given the title of concubine Qian. She believed that she was pregnant with a son, so she put on the airs of concubine Qian. There were many people in the manor who flattered her, and they were disrespectful to Princess Rue. At that time, Princess Rue was very tolerant of her. Qian often scolded Princess Rue behind her back, saying that she was a hen that couldn't lay eggs and wanted to rob her son. She even planned to get her son back when she got the position of concubine. She also planned that if their prince ascended the throne, her son would be the eldest son, and then the emperor, and then she would be the noblest woman in the world. The child was still by her side, but her treatment directly fell from the clouds to the dust. The people who surrounded her all left in a flash. During confinement, she still had to eat leftovers. If she threw a tantrum and smashed things, she wouldn't even have anything to eat. The people in the kitchen sneered. That was the princess consort's kindness. The concubine's stomach, unfortunately, she didn't have that fortune. She only had the life of a concubine. She still wanted the same treatment as the princess consort. Was she dreaming? And those women who were envious of her all came to ridicule her. She used to be arrogant because of her belly, but now she was trampled on miserably. She shouted to see the prince. Unfortunately, even if she shouted until her throat was hoarse, no one paid attention to her. Then she cursed all kinds of things and was no surprise that her mouth was blocked. She was weak after giving birth. After this, she suffered from postpartum hemorrhage. She was about to die, but no one even called a doctor for her. Before she died, she forced herself to stand up and used her last breath to grab the swaddling clothes that she didn't like and threw far away. She didn't know when the crying stopped. It was less than 24 hours from the time she gave birth to the day she died. Princess, concubine Qian suffered from postpartum hemorrhage and died. Young commandery princess is weak, so she also died. Princess Rue was stunned for a moment. Bury her. Send more things to the Qian family. Tell the Ministry of Personnel to mention it to anyone in the Qian family. Prince, concubine Qian suffered from postpartum hemorrhage and died. Young commandery princess is weak, so she also died. Li Hongming still didn't raise his head. Just report it to the princess. Why do you tell me? Princess, concubine Qian suffered from postpartum hemorrhage and died. Young commandery princess is weak, so she also died. Noble consort Su fiddled with the bracelet on her hand and said carelessly, "She is unlucky." But she met a filial daughter. Knowing that she was lonely, she went to accompany her. If noble consort Su didn't make it so obvious when she rewarded things, even if it was a little bit more generous. If Li Hongyuan told her to take care of herself after giving birth and rewarded her casually. If Princess Rue left a little order to leave some people behind to stop the other concubines at the mountain gate and to hug the young commandery princess when they knew it was her, then Qianshi wouldn't have died, and that poor child wouldn't have been thrown to the side to fend for himself without even drinking a mouthful of milk. In the end, It was because these people were used to being aloof and regarded human lives as grass. They could ignore and do nothing for people who didn't benefit them. Princess Rue still felt pity for a woman like Chencha, but that was it. She wouldn't find trouble for herself because of that bit of pity and extend a helping hand. No matter how pitiful and sad they were, they couldn't escape the fact that they stole her husband and could threaten her child at any time. At the same time, Jin Qin-wang returned to the capital. Unlike when they left the capital, they returned with great momentum. In addition to the Qin-wang ceremonial guards, there were also thousands of guards. Along the way, the people who were watching the excitement were addicted to their eyes. Although they were isolated by the guards, their interest didn't diminish at all. They didn't know who was in the carriage. Even at the foot of the Son of Heaven, there was still an insurmountable chasm between these ordinary people and those in power. Even those who knew the symbols of the families of the various officials and nobles in the capital, even those who understood Jin Qin-wang's character, only dared to secretly spit and didn't dare to brazenly show it. Jingwan's carriage followed behind and was also within the protection of the guards. It looked like Jin Qin-wang's family. When they left White Dragon Temple, they found out that Jin Qin-wang, who was assassinated, was also returning to the capital. Among the four of them, before this, only Jingwan knew that he was assassinated, including Sun Yijia. Duchess Ding never mentioned it to her. It wasn't until Sun Yijia received the news of her marriage and Zhongshe inadvertently mentioned it that they found out. Soon after, Jin Qin-wang was found and White Dragon Temple was placed under martial law. Because of the martial law, the matter became more and more conspicuous. In front of White Dragon Temple, the two sides faced each other. His face was expressionless, his eyes were cold, and he stood with his hands clasped behind his back. Even if he had an incomparably handsome face, it still made people shudder. In addition to that unapproachable aura, people didn't dare to rashly approach him. Yuan Qiao, who spoke ill of him 2 days ago, always felt that his gaze clearly fell on her body, like a poisonous snake that made people's hair stand on end. Sun Yijia calmly looked at him and didn't have the slightest intention of covering up the white cloth on her face. However, when she met his eyes, Sun Yijia understood that he already knew about the marriage between them. She couldn't see his opinion on this marriage from his face. However, it didn't matter, right? Zhou Yingshuang couldn't see anything, but that didn't mean that she couldn't feel the cold atmosphere around her. She couldn't help but shrink her body and didn't dare to breathe. The faces of the Furins were also not so good. Only Jingwan was affected the least by him. However, she still inexplicably felt that his gaze contained a deep meaning. It was very easy to understand. She was perhaps the only outsider who understood the real situation after his injury and was also the one who bluntly refused to enter Jin Qin-wang Fu. During these days of waiting for Li Hongyuan's decision, Jingwan's heart was actually still somewhat apprehensive. However, when she heard about his rather legendary rescue process, Jingwan knew that the matter of her intimate skin contact with him had already been completely overturned. However, through this matter, Jingwan also saw many more things. This Jin Qin-wang might not be like the rumors, blindly relying on the emperor's favor and only pursuing an extravagant and unfettered life. He had no power and didn't fight for power because he knew that she might have touched on something that shouldn't be touched. To a certain extent, she, including the Luo family, feared that they couldn't be separated from this Jin Qin-wang. The more you know, the faster you will die. If you don't want to die, then think of a way to make the other party trust you, even to the extent of treating you as a confidant. However, Jingwan didn't regret telling this matter to her grandmother and indirectly told her grandfather. Even if she told Jin Qin-wang that she didn't mention anything about saving him to anyone, the other party might not believe it. If he took this opportunity to secretly find the Luo family, then she could only rely on her grandfather to deal with it. Also, because of that different state of mind, she wasn't frightened by his imposing manner. Jingwan actually felt the imposing manner of a monarch descending to the world from his body. She had never seen the emperor's face and didn't know what kind of aura the so-called dragon's face and heavens might had. Her feelings told her that what Li Hongyuan wanted her to see was it. Jingwan very naturally moved her gaze away. However, It was at this moment that she inadvertently saw Ruan Fengfei on the other side. She clearly saw the way she looked at Li Hongyuan. If Jingwan was only a 14-year-old girl born and raised here, she probably wouldn't understand what that was. However, she wasn't. She was very clear on what that represented. Infatuation, possession, and even the desire to control. Jingwan couldn't help but tremble slightly. What about the lotus flower that emerged from the water? Would a normal girl have these kinds of feelings for such a terrifying man like Jin Qinhuang? If it was only admiration and infatuation, then it was fine. After all, he was a Qinhuang and also had a good appearance. But possession and control, the depth of love might make one want to possess. Then what was it that made her want to control? That was already a psychological distortion that was somewhat perverted, okay? Was there some terrifying secret hidden in the Grand Secretary Ruan Daren's backyard? Otherwise, how could he raise such a strange girl? Or was it that Ruan Fengfei was really like what she thought? Did she really have a past life, and that she herself was a pervert? Where Jingwan was present, the attention that Li Hongyuan gave to others was absolutely charity. Of course, he would control himself. Even if all of his attention was on her, he would not let others notice. With a so-called fiancé present and an abnormal Ruan Fengfei present, letting others discover where his mind was, wouldn't that push Wan to the forefront of the storm? With such attention, how could Li Hongyuan not notice the subtle changes in Jingwan? Following her line of sight, he swept a glance and without stopping, he waved his sleeves and boarded the carriage. His movements were too fast and too sudden, making the brothers who came to pick up their younger sister slightly hesitate. After some hesitation, they went up the mountain to pay their respects and fell into an awkward position. Ruan Fengfei's performance, how could Li Hongyuan not know? In his previous life, although Ruan Fengfei also admired him and did some things that ordinary people would not do, it was far from the extent that it was now. The worse his reputation was, the worse it was, the more she liked it, the more she wanted to get close to him, the more she wanted to control him. Ah, such an arrogant and conceited woman. After she was no longer useful, how should he tidy her up to make people feel more comfortable? For people with dark hearts, there were two kinds of people in this world that were the most attractive. One was people who were similar to themselves because they understood each other and could often reach a mutual understanding. The other was people who walked on the opposite end of the spectrum. They had something that people who walked in the dark hated but also yearned for. Although Li Hongyuan was not completely a person who walked in the dark, he was not lonely, he was not depraved, and he had not been swallowed up and lost himself. He was very clear about what he was doing and was even more clear about what he needed. However, he could not be considered a normal person. He had no interest in people like Ruan Fengfei. That kind of pure and flawless woman was also not his goal. He was firm, obsessed, and there was only one. If those eyes of Ruan Fengfei appeared in Wan's eyes, try to imagine that scene. Li Hongyuan suddenly curled up his body and trembled slightly. That was his body's instinctive desire, excitement, and clamor. He did not seem to care at all that he had stripped himself completely, allowing her to easily control him. Jingwan, who turned to get into the carriage, inexplicably felt her hair go numb, as if there was danger approaching in the dark. She could not help but frown. Could it be that something was going to happen again? Eunuch Mu was also not feeling any better. After his master saw Miss Luo, why did he start to go crazy for no reason? Master, take it easy. There are so many people around. If they hear you, your reputation. Eunuch Mu suddenly lowered his head helplessly. His master's reputation couldn't be worse. He lowered his head and pretended to be dead. He also pretended not to see the strange expressions of the people closest to the carriage. Because it was inconvenient for each of them, they did not squeeze into the same carriage on the return journey. With apprehension, Jingwan's mood was taut all the way, fearing that something unexpected would happen again. However, until they entered the city gate, everything was safe and sound. Jingwan was puzzled. Could it be that the bad feeling was not directed at them, but... Jingwan's gaze turned to the front, although she could only see the curtain blocking the carriage door. Could it be that after failing to put him to death once, they dared to assassinate him again in today's situation? Previously, it was not possible at Bai Long Temple, and it was even more impossible under this heavy guard. If they really took the risk to this extent, did it mean that the threat of Jean Prince Li Hongyuan was far beyond imagination? Until the carriages of each family separated, until Jing Wan entered the Luo family's gate, nothing happened. Could it be that something went wrong? But that lingering feeling of danger was still there. Jing Wan lowered her head and fiddled with the small red sandalwood prayer beads on her wrist. Each bead was round and smooth. Her mother saw that she had one accident after another, and in addition to her grandmother's special instructions, she went to Great Master Liao Chen to ask for it. Jing Wan knew that the value of this string of prayer beads was not as simple as Great Master Liao Chen personally consecrating it. The original small red sandalwood beads were not low in age, and after being made into prayer beads, it was at least 200 years old. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was priceless, but Great Master Liao Chen easily gave it to her. What did Great Master Liao Chen say at that time? She had faith with it, it could drive away evil spirits, avoid disasters, and protect her safety, so she must not give it to others. Jing Wan fiddled with the prayer beads one by one, and her heart suddenly calmed down. If it was a blessing, it was not a disaster. If it was a disaster, it could not be avoided, so thinking too much was useless. Jing Wan went to the main courtyard to pay her respects to old Madame Luo. Seeing that Jing Wan's complexion was good and her spirit was also good, she was relieved. After all, she had just returned, so old Madame Luo did not keep her long and let her go back to rest. As she passed by the garden, Jing Wan saw Luo Jingying in a cluster of flowers. She was tugging at the petals from time to time, and her eyes were unfocused. Jing Wan was right in front of her, but she did not react at all. Suddenly, she laughed foolishly, and it felt like she was in a dream. Jing Wan did not know what expression to show. She had only been away for a few days. Why was her sworn enemy already in love the moment she returned? Luo Jingying's servant girl saw the way Jing Wan was looking at her young lady and could not help it. Risking being punished, she gently tugged at Luo Jingying's clothes. "Young lady, what are you doing?" Luo Jingying glared at the servant girl angrily. Before Luo Jingying could act up, the servant girl pointed in the direction of Jing Wan. Luo Jingying looked over and was stunned. Then she remembered that her appearance just now seemed to have been seen by Jing Wan. She was annoyed and angry, but she did not flare up. Instead, she smiled softly. "It turns out that third older sister is back. Hello, third older sister." She greeted politely without being perfunctory or neglectful. Jing Wan returned the greeting unhurriedly. "Third older sister just came back. You must be tired. I won't disturb you." Jing Wan looked at Luo Jingying's back as she left. She did not find fault with her, and even her words were not strange. If it was too normal, it would be too abnormal. "Granny, what do you think she's up to this time?" Jing Wan asked. "I think it's because fourth young lady has some thoughts. She is quiet and does not want to be disturbed. Naturally, she will be peaceful." Jing Wan sighed in her heart. The power of love was really strong. She did not know which family he was from. However, the man who could make Luo Jingying fall in love with him was probably not ordinary. He might even be a member of the imperial family. It had nothing to do with her. As long as she had the ability, even if she became a favorite concubine of the imperial harem, Jing Wan would not raise her eyelids. Back to Begonia House, Jing Wan asked the wet nurse about what had happened these days. In addition to the big events in the city, the most lively thing in the backyard of the Luo family was probably the third branch. From the moment Luo Romping blatantly protected Huan Nyang, Mrs. Lu basically had a falling out with him. Relying on Madame Luo's support, she directly attacked Huan Nyang. Relying on her status as the mistress of the house, she had no scruples about torturing a concubine. She was really bold and unrestrained. It was precisely because she used all her means on the surface. It was simple and crude. Huan Nyang, who was better at dirty tricks, really didn't have much power to resist. The most important thing was that she was limited by her status. What Mrs. Lu could do, she couldn't. If she dared to do it, Mrs. Lu dared to directly sell her or even beat her to death. Huan Yang had all kinds of grievances, but she was extremely tolerant. She did whatever Mrs. Lu asked her to do. Anyway, she didn't let Mrs. Lu catch her. She didn't even tell Luo Romping that she was bullied by Mrs. Lu. Her image of compromise was to the extreme. Many servants couldn't stand it. After all, Huan Yang was pregnant. Mrs. Lu looked at them coldly. She naturally knew what the servants were saying behind her back, but she did not say anything about it. She even let these words spread, until all her deeds were known by Luo Romping. Then, Luo Romping naturally found Mrs. Lu. As a result, an unprecedented quarrel broke out between the husband and wife. Then, Luo Romping saw Mrs. Lu's hidden madness and ruthlessness. Mrs. Lu even almost scratched Luo Romping's face, but because he dodged, his neck was injured. Luo Romping even said that he wanted to divorce his wife. Mrs. Lu gloomily stared at him. Luo Romping, do you dare to divorce your wife? I'll divorce you right now, you jealous woman. Luo Romping, if you dare to write a letter of divorce, as soon as you leave the Luo family's house, I will beat the drum. You. Luo Romping was shocked. He did not expect that Mrs. Lu would dare to do such a thing. How dare you? Why don't I dare? If you dare to bring back a slut to climb on top of my head, I dare to drag the whole Luo family to death. You are crazy. Luo Romping flicked his sleeves and left. Mrs. Lu coldly stared at the direction Luo Romping left. I am crazy. I am driven crazy by you. The drum was not rung unless the country was destroyed. It was not rung unless the army was victorious. It was not rung unless the country was destroyed. It was not rung unless the country was destroyed. It was not rung unless the army was victorious. It was not rung unless the world's injustice was done. There were no gods guarding the drum, so anyone could rung it. However, if it was rung casually, the whole family would be demoted to a criminal slave and sent to the border. If it was rung casually, the whole family would be exterminated. Just because of a dispute in the backyard, Luo Peishan was a minister of the Ministry of Rights. Luo Romping was afraid to shoot the rat for fear of breaking the vases. He had to go back to appease his little wife. He told her not to pay attention to Mrs. Lu. Mrs. Lu didn't need to send someone to look for her. Huan Yang quietly listened. From time to time, she would comfort Luo Romping with a few words. The man was unreliable, so she could only rely on herself. Therefore, Huan Yang shrank in the courtyard and did not go out. She had nothing else, she just had a little money. If she couldn't buy someone with 10 taels of silver, she would spend 100 taels. If Mrs. Lu was not easy to deal with, she would lay her hands on her son. Back and forth, fighting openly and covertly. It was simply too lively. Rung the drum. Third ant really can't be underestimated. Mama, is there really no one guarding the drum? There wasn't before, but it has been there since 6 years ago. It's just that the people are in the innermost layer and the people outside can't see it. EY. It was impossible for there to be no reason for the sudden increase in gods. Mama Gong paused, because Jin Qin Wang, who had just left the palace, was bored and climbed the drum tower. He almost rung the drum. Since then, His Majesty ordered people to guard the drum tower. Jin Qin Wang. Jingwan was speechless. It's reasonable to say that there shouldn't be many people who know about this. How did Mama know? Oh, I accidentally heard it when I was in the palace. Luo Jingying returned to the third branch. After her father and mother had a big quarrel, her father never appeared in the main courtyard of the third branch. Today, he was unexpectedly here and had sent all the servants out. Luo Jingying was worried that they would quarrel again, so she went in regardless of being stopped. Prince Kong is destined by the heavens. If can marry him. Digression. https://www.bican com/11/11807/6652966. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website: bicken.com. Chapter 84. Prince Kong is destined by the heavens. If Ing-er can marry him and become his consort, when he ascends the throne in the future, our Ing-er will be the mother of the world. In this way, who would dare to look down on our third branch? As the Guozhang, he should at least be a marquis. Luo Rongping held a teacup and raised his eyes to look at Lucia. If Ing-er can win over the emperor's heart and whisper pillow talk, even if your Lu family can't recover its former glory, at least it will make the Bo Fu look the same as it was in the past, and have infinite glory. Lucia clenched the handkerchief in her hand, not because of anger, but because of excitement. Luo Rongping looked at her with slanted eyes and sneered in his heart. If there was a real knot in Lucia's heart, it wasn't in the Luo family, nor was it in her children. It was her own birth. She was born in a poor family, but she wanted to become a proud daughter of heaven. If she could make the Lu family rise again and fundamentally raise her status, perhaps she would do her best and be more unscrupulous than planning for her children's future. Think about it carefully. If this matter succeeds, our son's future won't have to worry at all. With an older sister who is the empress, even if they are dandy for the rest of their lives, no one will dare to provoke them. They will have wind and rain. Them. We don't even know what's in that slut's belly, but you're sure it's a son? Now you're thinking about sharing my daughter's glory? Ing-er only has one younger brother. I'm telling you, Luo Rongping, no one else can get close to her. Oh, is that so? Then you go and do this matter yourself. I want to see how capable Luo Lucia, who is awe-inspiring in the inner courtyard of the Luo family, is to help her daughter to the position of Prince Kang's consort. Although Luo Rongping's expression was indifferent, he had a high and mighty attitude. Even if Mrs. Lu could threaten him, so what? Outside, it was a man's world. You can't do anything just because you're mad. Mrs. Lu gritted her teeth in hatred, but this matter was different. Mrs. Lu couldn't ignore it. Even if she didn't compromise, Luo Rongping wouldn't ignore it. After all, after this matter was settled, it would be very beneficial to him. He could become the most powerful person among his brothers, and his father-in-law would treat him differently. Luo Rongping knew the knot in her heart. How could she not know that in addition to his ambition for power, he had buried his deepest thoughts in his heart? However, this man's heart was now on that B***tch. Who knew if he would do something unreasonable? What do you want? You don't have to care about Huan Nyang. It's best if she goes her own way and you go your own way. Mrs. Lu showed an expression as if she had expected it. Luo Rongping now cared about that woman. If they really went their own way, not to mention that she would lose face, the entire third branch's life would not be as good as that B***tch's. Life was already tight. In this way, they wouldn't get anything except for the things in the family. How could they have the face to go out? No, at most, I won't make things difficult for her. Don't even think about it. And since you're thinking about Ing-er, you naturally can't lack clothes and jewelry. I don't have money in my hands. What should I do? Yi, you can decide. Mrs. Lu gathered her hair. He knew that Mrs. Lu's purpose was not as simple as buying clothes and jewelry for his daughter. The most important thing was to ask him for money. However, her excuse was understandable. I'll have someone send the money later, but you'd better remember what you said. If anything happens to Huan Nyang and the child in her belly, you'll be the only one responsible. Luo Jingying didn't expect that she would hear such a thing when she directly broke in. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't excited. Being the mother of the country was something that many women dreamed of. Her mother always said that she was unspeakably noble. If she really reached that step, she would really be unspeakably noble. However, Luo Jingying thought of the gentle, handsome, and elegant third prince, Prince Rui. He was obviously better than Prince Kong in all aspects. He was obviously more like an emperor. Even if he suffered a little loss in identity, in the real battle for the throne, how many people could become the final winner based on birth? No, she had to make her father change his mind. Luo Jingying clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and walked into the door in a dignified manner. Father, mother. Why are you here? Not to mention Luo Rongping, even Mrs. Lu's face was not very good. Father, mother, daughter heard what you said just now. Mrs. Lu, is this the good daughter you taught? Eavesdropping on her parents' conversation? Luo Rongping stared at Mrs. Lu with a gloomy face. There was still no sign of this matter. If this evil daughter of his shouted out, not only would it not succeed, but it would also make him lose face and become a laughing stock. Father, don't be angry, and don't blame mother. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I was just worried about you. So I broke in. Can you listen to what I have to say? Luo Jingying crossed her hands in front of her body and stood upright. She spoke calmly, not in a hurry. This kind of girl, not to mention Luo Rongping, even Mrs. Lu was a little surprised. She was not impatient, she was not rash, she was not reckless, she was not reckless. This was her ideal daughter. Could it be that this was the result of correcting her in the past few days? If she knew this would happen, she would have been ruthless earlier. Master, after all, this matter concerns my daughter's life. Since she heard it, why don't you listen to what she has to say? If there is something good about her, she may be of some use. If not, you can teach her well. Luo Rongping was silent for a moment. If he really helped his daughter to the position of Princess Kong, it would definitely not do if she did not know anything. Even if she was to be an understanding flower, she had to at least understand what her man was saying. If she was just a vase, no matter how beautiful she was, there would be a day when she would grow old. Moreover, for the group of men in the imperial family, they had seen countless women, and there were not many who were not beautiful women. In this way, the time she would be favored would be shorter, and she might not even be favored from the beginning. A legal wife who was completely ignored by her husband was not even as good as a favored concubine. He went out for a while, ordered someone to guard the door, and then came back. What do you want to say? Father, instead of choosing Prince Kong, why not choose Prince Rui? Evil daughter, do you know what you are saying? Luo Rongping wanted to go forward and slap her. Choosing a side was not a trifling matter. Those in power hated fence-sitters the most. Even if he had not really gotten close to Prince Kong yet, it would be soon. It was a critical time. Perhaps in a few days, he would be able to meet the prince directly. If he chose another master at this time, not only would all his previous efforts be in vain, but he might also be retaliated by Prince Kang's faction. Father, I know what I am saying. Listen to me first. It won't be too late for you to get angry. Well, I'd like to hear it. What else can you say? Father, let's not talk about other things. Between Prince Kong and Prince Rui, who is more capable, who is more appreciated by His Majesty, and who is more favored by His Majesty, even us indoors women know clearly. Although the position of Crown Prince is not decided by His Majesty's personal preference, Prince Rui's advantages are obvious to all. The fight for the throne has always been about the results, not the process. The most obvious advantage that Prince Rui has over Prince Kong is that he has the right commander-in-chief in charge of military power. To put it bluntly, even if Prince Kong ascends the throne, if Prince Rui is unwilling, before Prince Kong stabilizes the throne. Luo Jingying paused, but Luo Rongping knew what she meant. Go on. Father's wisdom is unparalleled. I believe that when you were choosing, your real goal was not Prince Kong, was it? Naturally, it was not Prince Kong. It was just that at that time, Prince Rui had no choice but to side with Prince Kang's faction. Even if it was so what? You have to know that if you abandoned Prince Kong and chose Prince Rui, not to mention the position of Wang Fei, it would be hard to say if you could even become a side consort. Do you think you are so cheap? Then what are the chances that father can make daughter Kong Wang Fei? It's not that daughter is looking down on father, but based on our family, even if eldest sister is not married, there is not much hope for her to become Prince Kang's second Wangfei, right? Why should I? In order to achieve her goal, Luo Jingying, who had always been loftier than the sky, had belittled herself like this for the first time. She thought that she did not mean what she said, but this was the truest truth that she was unwilling to face and admit. But Prince Ruei is different. It is much easier to obtain the position of side consort. Even if I can't do this, what if daughter can give birth to a son for Prince Ruei? Don't forget, the concubine in Prince Ruei's residence who had high hopes also did not give birth to a son. This matter was released by someone with ulterior motives, and almost everyone knew about it. Prince Ruei has been ridiculed a lot these days. If daughter gave birth to Prince Ruei's eldest son, he may be able to become the son of the first wife in the future. The affairs of the world are unpredictable. Who can say for sure? With Prince Kong, there will be no such advantages. Even if daughter is a Wangfei and gives birth to a son of the first wife, she will still be inferior to the son of the first wife. Father, don't you think so? Luo Rongping frowned and quietly pondered. He had to admit that his daughter's words were reasonable. But he did not want to waste all his efforts and take risks, not to mention how to establish a relationship with Prince Ruei. Luo Rongping threw out the problem. He wanted to see if this daughter, who had made him look at her in a new light, could give him a pleasant surprise. Wealth comes from danger. It depends on whether father dares to do it or not. What do you mean? Be a nail for Prince Ruei to plant in Prince Kang's faction. You really dare to say that? One mistake and you will lose your life. Luo Rongping looked at her coldly. That's why wealth comes from danger. This is the fastest way to gain Prince Ruei's trust and an important position. Compared to slowly climbing up in Prince Kang's faction, it is much better to be mediocre for the rest of your life. In this way, wouldn't it be logical to mention the matter of daughter entering Prince Ruei's residence? That Ce Fei position might be easily obtained without any effort. As for how to establish a relationship with Prince Jin, daughter was on the street 2 days ago. Luo Jingying played down the matter of Prince Ruei helping her out of her predicament. Although Prince Ruei doesn't care about a colored glass lamp, we can't not care about it. Father, use this as a reason. There must be a way to establish a relationship. Lucia slightly narrowed her eyes as she looked at her own daughter. It really made her somewhat surprised. Luo Rongping sunk into contemplation. It was clear that his heart was really moved. Previously, when he mentioned to Lucia about marrying his daughter to Prince Kong, he did have that idea. He said it so solemnly, but wasn't it because Lucia didn't understand the outside world? In fact, he was very clear that to achieve his wish, the possibility of daydreaming was higher. He mainly did it for Huan Nyang. He hoped to use this as a condition to fool Lucia and make her restrain herself a little. He just didn't want to accidentally hit the road and get an unexpected harvest. Father will think about this matter carefully. Looking at Luo Jingying, for the first time, he became very amiable. You performed very well today. This is how I, Luo Rongping's daughter, should be. You must continue to maintain it. Father doesn't want to see you like before, always doing stupid things. Daughter was young and insensible before, making father worry. In the future, I will certainly not be like this. Luo Rongping got up. I'll go first. Lucia got up slowly and sent Luo Jingying off with Luo Rongping. Then, she sat back and looked at Luo Jingying with a measuring gaze. Luo Jingying felt very uncomfortable under her gaze. These days, her fear of Lucia was really increasing day by day. She couldn't help but shrink back a little. Mother, what's wrong? I thought you had really grown up. It turns out that you're just a flower. You won't last long. Lucia faintly said. Mother. Luo Jingying was embarrassed by her sarcastic words. Your attitude was very good just now. Why can't you continue to pretend? Because you've achieved your goal. Without a goal to support it, you can't hold it anymore? Luo Jingying's lips wriggled twice, and her expression was somewhat evasive. Mother, what are you talking about? You grew up under mother's eyes. You can hide your little thoughts from others, but can you hide them from me? Do you have a crush on Prince Rue? Mother, no, If you have a crush on him, then so be it. Lucia waved her hand to interrupt her. This time, your taste is not bad. Straighten your back. You have the courage to say those words to your father. You can also be neither servile nor overbearing, open and generous. Now that I haven't done anything to you, you're already shrinking back? I've told you before, in front of anyone, you have to show the same magnanimity as before, including me. Since you have that ambition, you must have the corresponding ability and self-restraint. Luo Jingying subconsciously straightened her back, but her eyes were still a little erratic. Mother, you're not angry? Why should I be angry? Prince Rue is indeed a good candidate. Compared to Chen Jiangmin, who knows how many times better he is. If this matter is successful, Luo Jingwan and those people will be nothing. You can easily trample them under your feet. However, you must not be complacent about this matter. Other than your father and us, you can't let anyone else know. Otherwise, when the time comes, our entire family will have to bear the consequences. Do you understand? Mother, I know the severity of the matter. I absolutely won't say a word. Go back to your room. I want you to learn etiquette, how to deal with people, and some other things from the etiquette instructor. You won't be perfunctory and feel uneasy anymore, right? Luo Jingying's face was a little hot. Mother, daughter was insensible in the past and didn't know your good intentions. In the future, I will definitely learn well. It's good that you know. Go. Daughter will take her leave. The family of three thought that they did it secretly, but who knew that there was a kind of scheming person in this world? Not long after, these words all fell into Gong Mama's ears. Gong Mama's face was still expressionless. She wouldn't tell Miss about this matter, mainly because it wasn't as fierce as before with the third branch. Almost everyone in the Luo family knew about it. This matter could be considered as a family's secret plot. If everyone knew about it clearly, anyone would be suspicious, let alone someone as exquisite as Mississippi Jingwan concentrated on taking care of her precious flowers and plants. For the time being, she put aside the matters of the outside world. After all, Yuan Qiao and Zhou Shuang's bodies could only be slowly nurtured. She wasn't a doctor, so she couldn't help at all. As for Sun Yijia's marriage, it was the highest authority of the Qi Yuan dynasty. No one could say anything about it. Now, she hoped that the daring Jin Qin Wang, who was known as the living king of hell, could mess up this marriage. Although the imperial family broke off the engagement, which had a great impact on a woman, Sun Yijia was different. In any case, she was already disfigured. If she stayed in Ding Guagong Fu, there would be a few people to protect her. Everyone thought that Li Hongyuan would enter the palace as soon as he returned to the capital. Even if he didn't go to mess up the marriage, he should go and pay respects to his Fu Huang Mufei. But unexpectedly, he directly returned to Jin Qin Wang Fu and closed the door. Not to mention the brothers who sent people to check on his situation, even the people around Lu Chengdi who came to the door were met with a nose full of dust. Lu Chengdi was so angry that he flipped the table and smashed the booklet. He roared and cursed, but everyone could hear that no matter how angry he was full of energy. It could be seen that when Jin Qin Wang returned, his spirit also came back. He scolded for less than an hour, evil creature, unfilial son, ungrateful wretch, without stopping. Originally, at this time, he was still in the imperial study discussing matters with the courtiers and 2 or 3 of his sons. In the end, he encountered this matter. A group of people could only hang their heads and wait for him to scold them. However, Li Hongyuan, he wasn't here at all. It was so embarrassing. Whoever was in front of him was unlucky. Many people could do this kind of thing, let alone the emperor. Doing it was even more natural and self-righteous. No one could refute or protest. If you dare to snort at him, he would immediately cut you to death. He was not below one person, only above millions of people, so he was willful and unreasonable. The Grand Secretary of the Cabinet, Ruan Rue Zheng, Ruan Darren, had never made a mistake in political affairs. At this time, he was also scolded like a dog by Lu Chengdi. To say whether he resented the main culprit, Jin Qinhuang, in the beginning, there might be, but time after time, he had long gotten used to it. No matter how angry or resentful you were, it was useless and would harm the body. The best way was to listen and wait for Lu Chengdi's anger to subside, or wait for Jin Qinhuang to enter the palace to let Lu Chengdi transfer his anger. However, listening to Lu Chengdi's scolding, the people below more or less dispelled the idea that Lu Chengdi had already found Li Hongyuan. Whether a person was really angry or pretending, especially in this kind of emotional situation, after a long time, it could still be seen. They didn't know how many cups of tea Lu Chengdi had drunk, but finally, he slowly stopped scolding. After scolding, the political affairs had to continue. After reluctantly dealing with the political affairs, Lu Chengdi let the sons of the officials scram, and then went straight to the Jade Essence Palace in anger. Without waiting for Imperial Consort Su to salute, he said, "That evil creature and unfilial son, Jean, is so angry. Missing for so long, doesn't he know that his father will be worried? Coming back, he didn't even enter the palace to pay his respects. If it was someone else, Jean would have already taken his head." For this kind of situation, Imperial Consort Su had long been accustomed to it. She personally poured a cup of tea for Lu Chengdi. "Your Majesty, calm down. You should let Qinxie say it. The reason why Yuan dared to be so unscrupulous was because of your indulgence." Zhen indulged. "Isn't it because of my beloved consort?" Lu Chengdi glared. Imperial Consort Su wasn't afraid at all. She looked at him with a smile and stroked his chest. Yes, Qinxie indulged. But if your Majesty didn't indulge Qinxie also didn't dare to indulge Yuan. In the end, it was your Majesty who indulged him. Lu Chengdi angrily glared at her, refusing to admit that the evil creature's current virtue was mostly because of himself. Why didn't Li Hongyuan directly enter the palace? Why didn't he say that Mu Gonggong had the most right to speak, but it was also very difficult to say. When Li Hongyuan returned to Jin Qinhuang Fu, he directly bathed and changed his clothes. Then, he lay back on the bed and refused to move. With his dead appearance, you still expect him to enter the palace, expect him to receive guests? Wait until he was willing to slow down. That's right, he was willing. Li Hongyuan's slow down lasted for 3 days, making Lu Chengdi's patience almost reach its limit. If he still didn't enter the palace, he would definitely send people to surround Jin Qinhuang Fu and capture him into the palace. Li Hongyuan wore the imperial attire of a Qinhuang. From head to toe, there wasn't a single spot. His entire person had an imposing appearance and was extraordinarily handsome. Excluding other things, just based on his bearing and appearance, there weren't many girls who wouldn't be convinced by him. Mu Gonggong tidied up the corner of his clothes for him and sighed in his heart. If outsiders knew the real master, he was afraid that all the girls in the capital would be dead set on him. However, Li Hongyuan only occasionally went to court and generally wouldn't wear the imperial attire. What happened today? So solemn. Qinhuang Fu's imperial attire. Qinhuang Fu's ceremonial attire. The main gate of Jin Qinhuang Fu opened and he mightily went out. There were many Qinhuang Fu in this area. One by one, they quickly knew that this person finally went out after returning to the capital and was preparing to enter the palace with such momentum. They were all Qinhuang, so their imperial attire and ceremonial attire were the same. They wore the imperial attire and used the ceremonial attire frequently. However, they only used it occasionally. Sometimes, they wouldn't see Li Hongyuan use it once in a year or two. But once he used it, it gave people a different feeling. However, if you wanted to say what was different, it wasn't clear. When Lu Chengdi learned that Li Hongyuan finally entered the palace, he was overjoyed and couldn't help but stand up. But he immediately thought of something and angrily sat back down. That evil creature still knows to enter the palace. When he comes, let him kneel outside for 2 shurchen, 1 shurchen equals 2 hours. Then, not long after, the people below told him, Emperor, Jin Qinhuang went to Yu Chui Palace. Lu Chengdi almost smashed the imperial desk again. Digression. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6652967 HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website. Bicken.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.